no like formal
introduction.
Welcome to the Moxie Moron Show. Actually, maybe I will use that.
Theme
That's
music
funny.
though. Every time the theme music comes on, I'm like,
But dude, okay, I do before we really get into anything, I do want to quickly thank Wilford for helping me build the studio. You're the guy. Yeah. You're the guy that helped build it. So here it is. You're seeing it for the first time.
This is actually my first time seeing it. It looks great. So yeah, the last time I saw it, we were still putting in flooring and we were putting in the baseboards, and those are now all in. So it looks great. There's added stuff to it that I didn't get to see the first time.
Like the sound panels and whatnot.
Yeah, the sound panels. I didn't get to see any of the furniture that was put in. I didn't get to see all the cool stuff you have in here.
I want to make sure that you guys are both as close to your mic as possible. There's a noise gate that, like, I don't know if you can hear. It will like literally cut your voice out if it's not loud enough, but you're probably good.
Okay.
Just as long as you're not talking like a mouse.
I think that's more you.
Soft-spoken.
Yeah, you're going to want to be close, but
so tilt your head like this when you're talking.
For some reason, dude, I had there's a dude that
I just can't get to. Oh yeah.
There's a dude that I served my mission around, good buddy of mine still. He would always, whenever we'd like talk on the phone.
Yeah.
And it was like a connection issue or something, but like for some reason he would always get mad. He'd be like, dude, you're talking like a mouse. And that made me so angry for some reason, because I knew that I wasn't, like, it was just like a technical difficulty. And I was like, just the phrasing. I was like, no, first of all, nobody says that, dude. And second of all, like, it's not my fault. I don't know why it ticked me off, but, so I brought you guys onto the show. This is going to be a little bit of a different episode because you guys presented me with an agenda, and I kind of know the gist of it, but I know you guys have a lot more like outline and laid out. I think it's an important episode. So one of you tell us a little bit, bring us into that.
Okay. Well, I think we need to start with just how we met. You know?
That's true.
I feel like we have a very typical LDS love story.
Yeah.
BYU I do love story.
Yeah.
So I feel like that is more of you, because you were the initiator. You were the one interested first.
It's true. Let me tell you how this was the hardest girl to get a hold of. She was so quick to get into class and so quick to get out of class. I mean, I could be at the desk right next to the door and she would walk in and somehow get out before I could even get off my desk and just try to say hello.
Classic overachiever, dude.
She had places to
red flag for me.
I'm telling you,
I'm not meeting those expectations.
Man, I mean, she was in and out so quick. It took 2 months for me to even get on your radar to let you know that I existed.
I think it was 4 because, okay, first of all, we had a class together. And what class was that, Wilford?
Oh, it was the Eternal Families class.
Yes, the Eternal Families class. So
very romantic.
Very. Oh, yeah. Was I planning to meet my eternal companion? No, not in that class, at least. Not my first semester, freshly 18.
Yep, I didn't know that, by the way.
Nope.
By the way, we're talking about this, like how you guys met, because this is like, we're kind of taking a deep dive into the relationship over the years. Oh, absolutely. Like that's the goal of today, right?
Yes.
In a nutshell.
Yes.
So this is, we're going to start at square one, how this came to be. So
I think we met that first week of January 2019 in that class. And I think we had like group studies that we would do once every couple weeks. And we were in a group study one time. And my first impression was, oh my gosh, this guy is so full of himself. Like, he just came off as very arrogant, like the typical return missionary, like, I'm just here to date around and with no purpose. Those were the vibes I was getting. So I really could care less about paying attention to him.
Right. And in my defense to that is that she got all of this vibe all because our teacher would say, "Hey, Wilford, good to see you. Wow, not a hair out of place." and
he wasn't lying. Okay. After being married to Wilford for almost 7 years, he goes through cans of hairspray like I have never seen before.
I'm telling you, it's true.
It's insane. Always on the grocery list.
Dude, I got specific brand.
I respect that. Dude, I've been on like a 10-year journey of finding the right hair gel.
Right.
And I still haven't, it still changes from time to time.
Oh, yeah. And
I feel that.
So granted, in my defense, I really think that you got a lot of that just because of what was being said about me. Mm-hmm. I don't think you really got us to talk to me that entire time.
No, and
because I never got the chance to.
No, and I also because I was so freshly 18, I was not in like a mode to date or think about marriage. And I could tell you were a lot older than I was. And that's probably what you were looking for. So I didn't pay any mind.
I couldn't tell what age you were. I
was a baby.
You say that, but also you were very mature for yourself at the time. You knew the right answers. You were you were quick to do your schoolwork. You seemed focused in a way that a lot of people that may have been older were not. And so let me tell you, it was a shocker when we got on our first date. So
we met in January and our first date was April 6th.
It's true.
Wait, Mia, do you agree that there's like a stereotype around like the D-bag guy being attractive somehow? Like, you feel you were annoyed? You were like, oh my gosh, dude, this guy.
He was annoying.
But then all of a sudden you're on a date. How does that happens? First of all, and like, I don't think I'm crazy in saying that. First of all, that happens.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I actually got to know him, like have a conversation instead of letting the assumptions take the wheel. So I guess we need to preface, you did ask me out on a date. I believe it was a Tuesday when that happened. And we planned to go on the date that Saturday.
Yeah.
Now in my head, I was thinking, I'll say yes, but actually I'm probably going to cancel because he's old and not my type.
Look, let me tell you how we missed a spot. So we were, again, I think it was on a Tuesday. I think we were in, I'm trying to remember what the building was called, but it was in BYU Idaho's campus. It's the building that's closest to the temple. And I remember I was sitting in the hall.
Like the science building, math.
I can't remember.
I don't know.
I'm glad to have had the experience when I was there. But I remember when you were essentially running to class with a friend, and I think you were just going to like a psychology class. It wasn't even your class. You just happened to be visiting with your friend. Mm-hmm. And I remember you walked in front of me. You went one time, and I finally was like, "Hey, that's the girl from the class that I've been trying to say hello to for the past like months." And apparently that wasn't working out. So I ended up having her. I finally like locked eyes with her when she was at like at this class about to go into it. And she walked back in front of me again, and she went, I think she was going over like the bathroom or the water fountain or something. And then we locked eyes again. And then she went and she walked by a third time and didn't say anything. And I was like, I was sitting next to a roommate of mine, and I remember I talked to him. I said, "Hey, that girl, she's totally eyeing me. I'm going to ask her out on a date." and she's going to say yes. And he's like, you're delusional. There's no way that you think that this girl is actually going to think that. And so it was funny because she ended up going back another time. And I think it was the fifth time that you came in front of us.
It was some ridiculous number.
And I finally was like, I told you. After I finally said, hey, do you want to go on a date? And she sat down right next to me, pulled out her phone. She's like, sure. And I was like, great. Let's go on a date on Saturday. Are you free? And she was like, yeah, let's do it Saturday. I didn't know at the time that she totally thought I was a douchebag, apparently. However, I found out that she was planning on canceling that date on our first. It was the unofficial first date because I got this feeling. I was like, I need to ask her on a date ahead of time because I don't think it's going to work out. Like on Saturday, it was too long of a time for us to get on our first date.
Too much time for me to think.
It was too much time. So I asked her beforehand and I motivated her with a Jamba Juice and a warm car to class.
Nice.
And it was an extremely cold day. So yeah, she went and we went and got Jamba Juice. And the first questions that we had were things like, hey, tell me about your family. Tell me about where you're from. And she was not expecting those questions from a guy like me, apparently old and not the nicest of character in her head.
What were you expecting?
I don't know, just, okay, the dating scene at BYU, Idaho is very hit or miss. Like, there's the crowd of people that are all about the NICMOs and just like very casual dating. And I was not into that at all. I
Non-committal makeout is what that is.
Yeah, that
non-committal,
would be
which
it.
I had never heard until I lived there. But yeah, just that was never something I was interested in. If
That's
I was
fair.
gonna date, it would be for the potential of marriage, but I didn't see that in him.
Until she talked to me for
Wait, then what? So why did you say yes?
I'm going to be honest. I think the spirit was talking and not me, because as soon as I said yes, I was like, oh crap. Now I've gotten myself in this situation. I need to figure this out, figure out how to get rid of the situation.
That's just
how do I cancel?
That is a mysterious dynamic to me. I just feel like there's something
don't
there
know.
that the stereotype
I will
exists for a reason. I'm not telling
Right.
people, I'm not telling all the men to actually truthfully be jerks, but
Right.
there's like a weird thing. And then you get to know them and you're like, oh my gosh, he's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
But that's how it always happens, dude. That's how our relationship happened.
Look, there's something about it, and I think I figured it out. And what it is that men, when they're younger, they're still trying to figure out their confidence, and they don't know how to portray confidence, especially when everyone in the world is telling them, "Hey, you're a student, you have nothing, you shouldn't be anything." Unless you go to school, unless you do these things, and until you have credibility, you can't have confidence. So unfortunately, there's a lot of guys that are trying to learn to be confident, and it comes off as arrogance, but in reality, they're just trying to figure out, hey, how can I exuberate essentially confidence of who I am? I've finally figured out who I am, but it comes off and they're labeled something that they're not. So I think there's a lot of people who are labeled as douchebags who aren't, who are just misunderstood in their confidence of finally getting to know themselves for the first time. That's what I think.
That's fair. That's fair. But so yeah, on that first date, I mean, our questions were, I would say, like more mature questions. Like we didn't spend time on like the little nitty gritty details. It was very like, hey, if we were going to go on a second date, let's make sure we're actually have the same, goals long term. Like, let's not waste any time. And I was very, very nervous for this date. Number one, because I wanted to cancel.
Yep.
But number two, it's a first date. I always got nervous. But as soon as we started talking, I instantly felt comfort. Like now when I describe it, I'm like, oh my gosh, it felt like home. And I had never had a first date feel so comfortable.
Yep. And then we had our first official date. And to drop a bombshell, I knew her ring size on that date, by the way. So
again, was not me. It was the spirit talking.
yeah, I think I was just like playing with a CTR ring, and it was a pretty large ring, I guess, compared to the size of what she had. And she had small fingers, you know, and I was just fidgeting with it. It was one of those like little fidget ones. And I ended up, I gave it essentially just like gave it to her to like play with in her hand. She's like, wow, this thing's huge. I was like, what size? I was like, oh, it's like a size 11. She's like, oh, I'm a 6.5. I was like, oh, great. Locked and loaded. That is a trump card for later. So
That's crazy.
That's
so if you're ever
insane.
wondering how to get a girl's like ring size, just play with yours. So
Very tactful.
yeah, it
very
was,
tactful.
it was.
I will say there
great.
was lots of chemistry on that date.
There was.
There was.
Why was that the first official date? What does that even mean?
Because that's the one I actually asked her on to go on. The one before was like hey, let's go on a pre-date to like see
like
if you can still
pre-gaming.
go on.
Okay.
And so it was the one that I had actually planned. The one that we were going to for Jamba Juice, I kind of, it was off a whim. I was like, I need to ask her on a date like beforehand, or just ask her to go before the date just so we can get to know each other.
So was that your thoughts? Like, did you yourself think I need to ask her on a date, or do you think that was an impression you were getting?
Normally, if I'm going to be having say that I am going to be going on a date with somebody, I normally set a date, or at the time, let's make this clear, this is past tense. So I would set a time, and that was it. I would wait until the day, and then I would let them know.
You never had a girl cancel on you.
Well,
On Wilford?
no, actually, surprise.
Wilford, 2019 Wilford was so cute. He's still very, very cute.
Oh, man, you're gonna make me
You were
blush.
eye candy. You were nice to look
Not
at.
a hair out of place.
Oh my gosh. So how dare a guy be confident and also not be bad looking? Granted,
Yeah, people will just not like you for that.
there's a stereotype apparently.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
funny.
First date, April 6th, engaged May 26th,
Mm-hmm.
and then married September 6th.
Man, even like before we were married, there were things I remember that were just tough. I remember
But you were dating for a month?
Month and a half, yeah, I guess.
yeah, it was a month and a half.
It was really
before we
quick.
were engaged.
So we met January, we got married 9 months later, but our dating to married was 5 months.
And I mean, we had both been previously in longer term relationships.
Yeah.
And thing is, we had both thought that, oh, maybe those people were going to be the people that we stayed with for both of us. And it just didn't work out on both sides for different reasons. Granted, you could probably get onto that, but
5 times.
I don't know. But I remember even before we were married, we were having moments where it's like, hey, you know what? This is hard. Like to get to know your parents, to get to know all of these different things because of her mother. Granted, to short story is that her parents were actually paying for another man's mission and were waiting for her to be able to get married to another man. And so she was like, oh, this is not going to work out. And she told her mother, this was before she even met me. And her mother, the tension was still there even after she met me. And her mother, when she had said, hey, you know what? After she had broken up with that other man, her mother was still upset at her. And she said, you know what? I'm already dating somebody else that I think is a lot better. And her mother said, I don't want to meet him until you have a ring on your finger.
That's wild.
So
Yeah.
I feel like it should be the opposite of that.
You would.
I have to meet him before you have a ring on your finger.
Right.
Is this the guy that was part of your longer term relationship that we're talking about?
Yeah, I think we were dating for 2.5 years before I ended it. And I dear John'd him about 6 months into his mission.
But your parents were still just like, Nah.
I'm not exactly sure how much they were contributing financially, but I know that they were contributing. They loved, and granted, great guy. I mean, he had the world ahead of him, like incredibly smart, very kind. He was a convert. And so like his whole family converted in the early 2010s. Really great guy, but I had a very firm impression around January 2019, like, you need to break up with him. It made no sense to me. I questioned it. I prayed about it. And every time it was, you need to end it. So I did. And when I shared that with my family, you know, granted, I didn't even understand why. So neither did they. I didn't have an explanation.
Nope.
But
it worked out for
it did
the better.
Because when Wilford finally did meet my parents via FaceTime, what did my mom say?
Oh, her first words were, "Hey,
I hate you."
close," but it was more along the lines of, "I don't want to like you, but I do."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wow, that's so nice. Thanks." And that was after talking to her father, who was very much more lighthearted. I mean, this guy, I mean, his first question to me, and this is again, serious call, because I'm over here thinking, oh, you know what? I'm going to be asking permission for marriage. And his first question to me was, do you like Star Wars or Star Trek more? And so I was like, wow, this is... And
then Wilford started rethinking his decisions.
Right. No, it was super nerdy, but at the same time, I was like, you know what? I can tell that they're just really sweet people. I could just tell that there was a lot of hurt on her mother's side that I didn't know how to handle at the time. So it came out as, hey, I'm just here. I love your daughter. And you know what? We're planning on moving forward together, and I'm glad that I get to know you, even in all the tension that was still there, because her mother, I think, was still getting over her breakup, even into our own, like, after we were married.
Yeah, she took it pretty hard.
Yeah, quick hot take. Like, that seems like a really bad idea to be paying for the dude's mission. Like,
that's true. Even while we're
contributing in any way, like I know it's like the intentions are good, and you're like, and if that's all it is like, we just like this guy and we want to help him out on his mission, like, great. But if you're like, he's involved with our daughter and we're gonna like, that's a risky game.
It was
bro.
a lot of pressure.
That's a risky game to play. That I would advise not playing.
No.
I will say, you know, that was almost 7 years ago. So things have been repaired between my mother and I. Like, therapy has been done. Lots of hard conversations have been had. And I think she adores you.
Oh, yeah. And I've got her wrapped around my finger now.
She might like you more than me.
It's very possible.
I think that's how Ashley is with my family. So I've seen it both. I think I like her.
Yeah, no, I've definitely got her wrapped around my finger now. I mean, she's the sweetest of heart of people. I mean, I love her to death. I think it just took time, and I'm glad that she didn't take any of her frustrations that she had with the fact that you left that other guy on me. She still gave me the chance for me to be able to get to know her and to be able to just say, like, hey, I'm glad I will let you be part of my life. Yeah. And she was still allowing that. She was hesitant, but she still allowed me to be part of her life. Even from the beginning, she was just still mad at you with the fact that you left the other guy. And that's so.
Is she listening to this?
She might.
She might. And Mom, if you are watching,
shaking her head.
I do love you so much. And that was a hard season, but look where we're at now. You know, I'm
still just so glad that I'm glad that we're friends. I will say that your mother and I and your dad, we're good friends now. And I appreciate having them around just because they're good advice to be able to ask to for a lot of different reasons, because they've been through things that I would say the normal couple has not
No.
been through. I don't know
I
how
agree.
they made it through,
I don't either.
other than just sheer determination through a myriad of different storms.
Yeah.
Just incredible.
I agree. They are good examples of, just pushing through and never giving up on a relationship, which may come into the future of this conversation.
I think so.
So we got married in September 2019. And I think not even a year into our marriage, I was like, oh, it'd be so fun, if we had a baby.
Look, I'm not saying, like I said, she had goals that were far above a lot of other girls her age. And she was like, look, I'm going for gold. And she was going for gold. That was it.
She moves quick.
So
It's a reflection of how fast she got in and out of class.
look, I mean, she was like, look,
reflected
let's
on
go.
every aspect of her life. She's like, okay,
Right.
time to get married, time to have a baby.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How did you feel about that? Because I felt like I was interested in having a child really quick and probably before you were.
I was hesitant at first. I was like, oh man, all right, well, I guess I have no reason not to. So
Except that we were broke.
exactly. I mean, other than the fact, the obvious questions that every couple's question is like, do we have enough money? Do we have enough space? Do we have enough, just food or whatever's needed for this baby, knowledge included.
Yeah.
And you know what? I felt severely underprepared. And it's never been something that I really studied or really got into when I was younger. I never grew up thinking about it. I mean, I knew I wanted to have kids, but it's always been like, yeah, I want to have kids. And that was
Okay.
it. I mean, it
Wait,
didn't go much
so-
further than just, oh, I want to have kids. I know, about the basic things like, yeah, there's going to be costs beforehand in order to have a kid. But I mean, I didn't put nearly as much effort into learning about parenting, learning about all these things as much as you did. You did an amazing amount of research into this, so much more than I did. Again, because she's the grade A student. On everything.
Overachiever.
Wow.
She had to know everything. And as soon as she felt comfortable and she knew it, she's like, I'm ready. Let's do it. And I'm over here like, whoa.
So that's interesting. So do you feel like there is I don't want to say stereotype, but do you feel like there's a difference between men and women and their preparation for parenting? Like what comes to their mind or what they feel like they need to prepare prior to having kids?
Absolutely. I think men are just not good at asking any questions until there's a need in front of us. So they're like, oh, I have to figure this out. I'm going to do it right now. And then we then figure it out as we go. But I mean, Kevin, I may ask you as well. I haven't put a ton, I did not, or I don't think that most men put a ton of I guess, thought into the details of parenting until it's really on our doorstep.
Here's what I think. And it's shocking to me because it's probably a little bit more so that way with men, but here's what I've observed. I have never talked to a couple where the couple was like, oh, we felt prepared. We had a kid and we were ready to have that kid. Mm-hmm. Haven't heard it from the man, haven't heard it from the woman. Nobody has come to me and told me they were like, dude, we did it right. We were financially there. We did not have a kid until both of us were like, we're ready to have a kid. And I'm like, and because of that, and because of how many times we have all heard that from people and how many times that's happened, what's shocking to me is how many people still are just like, do we have a kid? Like, are we ready to? I'm like, dude, nobody is. Nobody's ready. Nobody's prepared. And I guess, that's not to say that there isn't value in doing research and learning. And I think that, that falls with the woman. more than the man generally, but to where you feel sufficient, like that doesn't exist. And so that's why I think
true.
that the men are less motivated, because we're just kind of like, we're unprepared and there's not really anything that we can possibly do to feel prepared. So why am I even gonna, which, you know, probably isn't great, but that's
Right.
Yeah, I couldn't do that myself, but that does make more sense. So I think we decide, yes, we do want to grow our family or start a family, and it takes about 10 months. And then 2 lines pop up. I found out March 7th, 2020.
Yep.
Perfect timing, you know, COVID and all.
You guys decided
2021. I lied.
Yeah, those 2021.
Yeah, COVID was still there though.
Yeah.
but you guys decided that you're like, we're gonna have a kid.
Yeah, so I think this this is kind of how this worked out.
Because that's another interesting thing, is that while seemingly nobody feels prepared, somehow the couple reaches a point where they're both like, okay, time to have a kid. We're not prepared by any means, but we're like more prepared than not prepared at all.
Yeah.
Like to the degree where we're ready to have a kid now.
For me, I had this underlying worry and pressure to have kids early in life. There's lots of reproductive cancers in my family, especially among the women. My grandmother passed away from cancer. I believe my mother and one of my sisters had cancerous cells at one point, and they needed surgery. So, and then polycystic ovarian syndrome. Both of my sisters and I have that. So I was very aware that journey to motherhood may look different for me, and that I may not have a long span of time to have children or all the children that I want to have. So I felt like the earlier I start and the earlier I can convince Wilford to start, the better chances we have.
Right. So. She was already like, she had that in her mind already. She's like, I already know that there's probably going to be complications coming. So she was trying to get ahead of the curve. She's like, I'm healthy now. And not only that, but it came down to, I remember Emelia having these strong feelings of, I want to mother something. And I don't have anything to mother. I could tell that Emelia was very, very accustomed to lots of change happening very quickly and moving at a pace in her life that I guess the average person may not have been accustomed to. A lot of people are very accustomed to just say, hey, you know what? I'll just take it slow until something comes at me, and they're very reactive on their lifestyle. Emelia is not that way. She was very proactive towards everything that was getting done. She's like, great, I'm going to get married. Great, I'm going to do that on my own. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I don't need anyone to tell me. And in fact, even people telling me no, I'm still going to do it anyway. And when it came down to Emelia saying, hey, you know what? We're now going from college to married to now I'm at home. And suddenly the pace really slowed down. And I remember her thinking, you know what? I can find a job. I can do something with my time. But she was very quick to acknowledge that she wanted to be a mom. Yeah. And she was like, you know what? I need something to mother. And I was like, well, cool. How about a dog? so we got a dog, and I remember her name was Maple, the sweetest little angel of a dog, a corgi, by the way, just
fluffy butt.
I know, just amazing, amazing dog.
You know, I met your dog.
Yes.
Did he?
He did meet Maple.
Oh.
We unfortunately lost Maple. She was taken by cancer when she was 3 years old. So that was super unfortunate.
I didn't know she was that young. That is sad.
Yeah, she was just a little baby.
She was a puppy. But, I think that's another loss. You know, we've got a lot to get into here, but I mean, I know that Emelia was really focused on a pace. She's like, look, I need something to do to mother. And I remember, we had a really good financial year that year, even though it took up a ton of time, the job that I was doing at that time. It required me to be out of the house for a long period of time, and it was random hours, and she couldn't get any dedicated time to me. And she really felt like she was in second place for a lot of things. And although we did have a good amount, I remember we bought our first house. It was a brand new home. And I remember we were like, great, we're in a space where we're able to possibly bring in a child. And I remember with the dog that we got, we're like, wow, this is great. We can go ahead and possibly do this. And maybe I jumped the gun a little bit about when we jumped to the house, but we got the dog when we were still in an apartment just before we got the house.
Yeah.
And
she was a cutie. I love Maple.
She was great.
So you did skip a few steps. So we got Maple, I believe, in February. And then the next month I found out we finally got pregnant. Well, I finally got pregnant.
Yes.
We were so excited. I mean, the first time you see those two pink lines, it's like a miracle.
Amazing.
Like it's the best, especially after so many months of negatives.
It's true. There was a lot of stuff. And I think at that time we were still trying to get to know each other as well in our marriage. We were still trying to figure all this out. And you know what? We finally got these two lines, and Amelia, I remember she would tell me almost every day. She was like, I want to be a mom. I want to be a mom. And I was like, great, I'm trying. so we finally, and I think she also had a lot of worries again about her family medical past that also was causing a lot of these questions and a lot of anxiety for her. And she was like, I don't know I don't even know if I can yet to get, if I can get pregnant. And so, with chances a little bit less likely, she finally showed me, she's like, oh my gosh, we're pregnant. We did it. We've finally done something amazing.
Yeah.
And I was
our
like,
lives are going to change,
and everything's going to get better in our life because we now have a baby coming. Right. And it was this really, really cool time to just be like, wow, we got to see I remember going in for our first time to the doctor's office, and they had all the ultrasound equipment. We were able to see the baby. It was really, really cool.
Did you feel like your excitement matched hers because we've heard, I first of all, I think that the innate desire to mother something, as you've mentioned, is stronger than the father has. That's just a personal belief of mine. But do you feel like when the actual time came that you saw that Amelia was pregnant, that both of you were had the same level of oh my gosh, we're going to be parents, or was one?
I think it's very different.
For different reasons.
Yes.
I'll let you answer
because
this
I
first.
think as the woman, you are the one carrying the baby. You are going to feel the kicks. You're going to experience the nausea and the heartburn. And
but you did.
Yes, I did. Or I have.
So you're thinking about the pregnancy.
Yes.
That's
the
something
moment you find out you're pregnant, it's oh, this is real. Whereas I feel like maybe for men, it's not real until the kid is born.
Yeah, I think the men's just dude, I'm gonna be a dad. I'm gonna have a kid.
Yeah,
but
that's it.
You're thinking about the next 9 months of gestation.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, for me, it was much more of the, oh wow, I was excited because I could see how my wife was so excited. I was excited to be a dad. I was so excited. I was like, wow, this is going to be awesome. I can imagine all those things, but it's there are some people that get on a roller coaster, and there are some people who are like, wow, I'm in line for this. I'm so excited. I'm freaking out in line. And then there's that one kid who's just you know what, this isn't that great, and until they're in the seat, they get buckled in. They're like, oh, this is it. I'm excited now. I'm definitely that like second kid. Like you get me on the roller coaster, I'm like, okay, now I'm excited. But if waiting in line, sure, I'm excited, you know? But for Emilia's, she's definitely the one like, oh my gosh, we're on the road. I'm super excited. At that time, I was more excited the fact that, wow, we're making another step. And I'm super excited to see my wife finally receiving something that she so desperately needed and wanted at the time.
Something interesting about that, I'll say really quick, is that I also feel like I'm the type of, but it's so, I feel like more than, I mean, I could go on for hours about this because I think it has affected like every relationship and everything in my life, is that I just don't, for whatever reason, I don't connect. Like, I mean, I love people to death, but I don't connect in the same way that most people do, or I don't either express excitement or express the love is probably the best way to say, is I just don't express it the way that, and so people just like think that I don't care.
That you don't care.
But yeah, what's interesting about that though, is that I haven't felt that with like having a kid. I'm excited about the idea, and I'm excited about it because I know that it's like the right thing to do, obviously. And I've heard so much about like how it's fulfilling and like it's your purpose, you know? And so like logically I'm like, that's a good thing. But as far as like this innate feeling that I feel like I've heard from others, I have like zero of it. And it kind of, again, that comes off as like, I don't care, which has been problematic. But also, I have also heard that like when you actually have a baby that is yours, when that baby is born, then it hits. And that's something that I like, just because I feel like it's an interesting thing to point out, is like, that's something that like, I literally just like have to have faith in because it hasn't happened. And I just have like, it like worries me almost. I'm like, what if because of how much I don't feel it now, like, what if I don't feel it when it happens? And I don't know. That's just,
you know, that's a really interesting thought. And I think that is much more common than you would think. I don't think you're the only person that feels that way. In fact, it's hard for me to think, hey, you know what? I'm going to be emotionally invested in something I've never experienced before. And that's very difficult for me. So now if I go on a roller coaster, I'm much more excited to go because I've gone before. Mm-hmm. But if it's a first time, I don't know what to expect. And so with the fact that I have little to no knowledge, because one, I didn't study it ahead of time, and two, I've never experienced it. It's hard to then feel, hey, I'm excited for this when I don't know. And so like when you were saying, when I had our first or our second, Nathan, who we have now, he's now 4 years old. When I remember seeing him for the first time, it was in that moment I was like, oh, that's my kid. It was super cool to see him. But then it was a second time that I then had my heart really melt. And that was when I got to hold him for the first time. And when I got to hold him, I was like, oh, this is my kid. It was super awkward. I didn't know how to hold him. but when I remember holding him for the first time, I was like, wow, this is powerful. And I think they have like a skin to skin thing that they do as well. And I think it's important. I think it was just like, wow, the baby's born. I get moments just to be able to bond with the baby. And you know what? It's a real thing. It's also, I wouldn't psych yourself out about it when or if the day comes. You're gonna have these feelings, and I think the worry that you feel ahead of time, don't worry about the worry. Just experience in the moment and just be curious about what you're gonna feel, because I don't think the Lord is going to be giving or removing away that joy from you or from any man who is willfully looking to take care of another one of his children. It's a really, really cool experience.
Yeah. Worry might have not even been the right word. It's because I know that like I've already gotten used to it. And like, if that didn't happen, it'd just be another thing that I don't connect with other people in that way. And so, but I know what's right. And I know that I love people. And so that's all that really matters at the end of the day. But anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it was a really interesting time. And I remember when we finally got the news, we're like, wow, we have a baby on the way. We got to go to all the appointments. And I remember everyone was so supportive of us. I remember even when we were at the doctor's offices, they were so excited and like, oh my gosh, you guys have a baby. Everything's perfect. The baby's doing great. And I mean, we were on top of the world.
Yeah. I mean, it was a really good season. You made a lot of money that year. We were preparing to buy our first home. We got a dog. Like things just seemed to all be going right.
Everything was working out.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
And so at the time I was working full time at Publix.
Yeah.
A fantastic Southern grocery store. It was fine. I really enjoyed that job.
Yep.
Publix, what is that?
It's,
you know what a Kroger's is?
Yeah, like a Kroger's.
Yeah, think Kroger, but a little bit more like Southern fancy nice.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Okay.
If you ever go there, you have to get their chicken tender sub.
Oh, it's good.
It's like a deli.
They have like a deli. Yeah.
And it's good. But
my interest is piqued.
It's really good.
Yeah. So I think I had made the decision to quit my job at Publix because you were doing so well financially. I really wasn't contributing much, even when I was working full time. Mm-hmm. And so I just thought, well, let me just stay home, enjoy the pregnancy. You know, we're going to buy a new home. I can get the house set up. And I've always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, so might as well just prepare now.
How far along were you when you made that decision?
We kind of decided as soon as I got pregnant, but my last
I can quit my job.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I was excited. My last week was during my 10th week of pregnancy. So I remember like my last day was supposed to be that Friday. And on Tuesday, I go potty like any other person does, and blood. And that's really scary when you see that. Now, spotting or bleeding in the first trimester can be very, very normal. And I have learned that for me and both of my subsequent pregnancies, that's normal for me. I do spot or bleed for a few weeks. Now, because this was my first pregnancy, I was terrified. I looked it up. It said it was normal. So I just kind of let it be for a bit. I did tell you.
Yeah, you did.
And we just decided we'll keep an eye on it. If it's not stopping by Monday, we'll just go to the doctor, make sure baby's fine. It's probably fine.
Right.
The spotting continued. And then on Saturday, I was so overwhelmed with worry. I believe that you were at work that day. So I called my mom and dad. I'm like, hey, this is what's happening. I'm really worried. Can you drive me to urgent care? Okay, so we drive to an urgent care. They can't help me with anything. They don't have an ultrasound machine.
Nope.
So they're like, you can pee on a stick, but obviously you're pregnant. Like, that's not going to help.
Why did you, like, did your worry grow? Like, what was happening during that time to where you were like, I need to go to urgent care?
Yeah. So I tend to be very, very anxious. Wilford knows that very well. And I figured the spotting should stop within a few days, so long as it's normal. But because it had continued to now, day 5, I was like, I cannot wait until Monday. I need to know now if something is wrong. I just need to make sure baby's okay. So we drove to one urgent care. They couldn't help. And this was still during COVID. So they drove me to an ER and they let me in. I've learned that it's pretty common for women that are in their first trimester and bleeding to go to the ER. It's typically what they recommend you do. So I go in by myself because it is COVID. No one can go in with me. And it takes about 3 hours before I get an ultrasound. Now, in prenatal appointments, and when you get an ultrasound, it's a big screen. You see everything, and it's magical. In the ER, when you get an ultrasound, there is no screen for you. You do not get to see anything. And ultrasound techs legally cannot give you any diagnosis or tell you what they see, especially if what they think they see is bad. So
just because they're not qualified?
They're not allowed to give the answer.
Legally, the doctors are the only ones that can tell you. So went to the ultrasound, had that completed. The whole time she kept asking, like, how far along are you? How far along are you? 10 weeks, 4 days. She just kept asking me. So that was kind of my clue that something must not have looked right. Go back to the room, and they finally let my parents in. I love my parents. They waited in the car for 3 hours while I was inside. So my mom came in, and then doctor came in. First time I saw him, and that's when he said, like, there is no heartbeat. Your baby is measuring like 3 weeks behind. What you're having is called a missed miscarriage. And that's it. That's pretty much all he told me. He didn't tell me what the future might look like. He just said, make an appointment to go see your OB on Monday. Sorry. Here's a bill. So that was it.
That's true.
I don't know why we chose to not have you in the room. I think you were really busy at work. But I did make you come home as soon as I left. Mm-hmm. You came home. I shared the news. You were pretty stone-faced. I think it was just a lot to process.
It was quite the shock. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a ton of knowledge in this area. And so it came out as shock because I didn't really know that. I was like, oh, you get pregnant and you have a baby coming. That's great.
Right.
But it was such a shock. And it also shocked me that you had no guidance. No one told you how to do anything. And again, at the time, you're still pretty young. We're a pretty young couple. Nobody gave you any sort of expectation. I mean, they just simply said, hey, your baby's no longer. This is what it is.
Yeah.
And then they said, all right, you're diagnosed. You can go see your OB on Monday. Yep. And that was it. And then it was just like, wow, huge shock. Your child's dead. You're now going to go ahead and figure it out.
Yeah. So we had no expectation of what could happen. I just knew, okay, I need to set an appointment to see my doctor on Monday. Around 6 p.m., I start getting horrible cramps, which I now know after going through labor. It was labor. Very intense pains. And for the next 4 hours, I was just on my hands and knees, just swaying, confused. I'm like, I don't really know what's happening. Do I go back to the ER? Obviously something is wrong. And you're next to me the whole time. I don't know what was going through your head.
I had an idea of what was going on. I could tell that at that point, the body was starting to really reject what was there. Mm-hmm. And
what's a missed miscarriage?
Okay, so there are several types of miscarriages, but a missed miscarriage is basically when baby passes away, but your body doesn't recognize it for a long amount of time. So when I was at the ER, they told me, you're 10 weeks, 4 days, or you should be, but baby's measuring 7 weeks, 1 day. So baby probably passed away during week 7 and your body didn't know until now. Like, that's why you're starting to spot. Yeah.
Right. Because typically if the baby passes, then the body is reacting, oh, it's no longer viable. The body will know and say, oh, it's no longer viable. We don't have to send it any more nutrients. It's not accepting nutrients. And then the body does its own thing in order to be able to shed what's there. And
that's freaking fascinating. I mean, in the most irreverent way possible.
Yeah. I mean, the body is amazing. The female body, the way that we can produce children is just, the science behind it is really astonishing. Like, God is amazing.
Agreed.
But yeah, so for 4 hours, just pretty severe pain. And then.
So another quick question. When the doctor's like, you got to set up an appointment or whatever, set up an appointment, like, again, no disrespect, but it's like an appointment. Like, how are we going to get this baby out?
Pretty much.
That's what we're...
Basically, it would be an appointment to confirm the baby has passed and to determine, like, is your body going to expel this naturally, or do we need to schedule a D&C or a surgery to remove all the product?
Yeah. Oh, man, that sucks.
So, yeah.
Yeah, hence why I think the church made a little policy thing where they said, like, hey, don't call it the D&C, is because D&C is actually the procedure to remove and clean out the uterus after a miscarriage.
Yeah.
Okay.
So obviously my body...
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah. So my body, I guess, did not need a D&C, thankfully.
Nope.
But yeah, after 4 hours of lots of pain, I felt and heard a pop and instantly rushed to the bathroom and basically just hemorrhaged. I had never seen so much blood in my life.
It was a lot of blood.
A lot of blood. And for the next 20, 30 minutes, it was just me on the toilet, just bleeding. And you were holding my hands and we were just crying.
It was a hard time.
Yeah. Just recognizing, like, this isn't how it was supposed to be. Like, it was supposed to end with a baby in my arms, not this.
Right.
Was it physically painful?
Yes. Like,
the whole time?
After my water, so the pop, I'm guessing, was actually my water breaking. After that, no pain. Just lots of blood.
Yes. So the body, what happens is she was having, again, contractions. The body, what it'll do is when she's having, when the body's trying to get the baby out, it's the same process for when you're actually having a live baby and a baby who's passed. The body, when it's removing what's inside, it is essentially, it does it through contractions, and it has it moments of where the body will just contract to get it out, and then it gives a break, and then it goes again, and then a break, and then it goes again. And that's why labors can be very long for women, just because that process can be very long. Now, for her, when she was miscarrying, she didn't realize what she was even feeling at the time.
No.
No one prepared her for it.
No, and I knew it did not feel like a period because my cramps were never really bad.
Right.
But I was given no expectation of, hey, if your body, does this naturally, this is what it can look like. This is when you should be concerned and seek out medical help. I was very unprepared and very shocked when that did happen.
It was a shocker to me when I rarely see Emelia unprepared for something. I mean, she is, again, prepared for everything. I mean, every possible scenario, she's got 3 different things that she could do this was never something that she prepared for. Mm-mm. At no point did she really think, I'm going to lose this baby.
No, because, I mean, my mother never had a miscarriage, never lost a child. My sister, who has 4 babies, never miscarried. I didn't personally know anyone, or at the time, I didn't know that I knew anyone who had experienced pregnancy loss. So I felt very, very alone. It's a really bad day.
It was a really bad day.
Is this experience something that is this like typical for people when they tell you we had a miscarriage? Is this what needs to be going through my head?
I think that's why I wanted to share some of the nitty-gritty details, because it's very common to hear the phrase, oh, we lost a baby, or I had a miscarriage. But what does that actually look like? Now, I know not everyone who has a miscarriage, it doesn't always look like how it was for me. Some women do need a surgery. Some women, I have a dear friend who her body did start to have a miscarriage naturally, and she ended up almost bleeding out and had to be rushed to the hospital and get blood transfusions. And she needed surgery.
So as horrible as this is, it's like it was relatively mild.
Yes.
As far as miscarriages go.
I would say the miscarriage I had was a very healthy, normal miscarriage. If you were to have one, it'd probably be great to have one the way I did.
Wow.
Again, it's just, I guess, a taboo conversation for somebody.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I've heard it a million times. Mm-hmm. My friends, close friends, have had miscarriages. Don't know what it looks like.
Yeah.
Don't know what goes on.
Like, I had no idea that if you miscarry naturally, you are literally going into labor and delivering your baby and all the blood and everything. I had no idea.
Yeah, we had no idea what to expect. And I feel so bad for people who have go even longer in their pregnancies. I think, what is it? How many weeks is it that it takes for them to then have to have a full funeral for
legally
their child?
I believe it's 20 weeks and above, because that would be considered a stillbirth, not a miscarriage.
Correct.
So anything 20 weeks and over, you sign a death certificate. You give birth. You'll have a funeral, and it's devastating. I hate that anyone has to go through that. Like, I know what I went through was very difficult and painful, and I wish for no one to have a miscarriage. But I'm so glad that's all I ever went through, and not have yet to experience a stillbirth. I pray that I never have to, because
it was such a hard time just for us to be able to figure out, like, hey, we're a new couple with little to no knowledge about any of this. Mm-hmm. And we were just taking the punches. We're like, we don't know how this works. And I mean, it went from, oh, here you're going to be having a baby, to, oh, you're not going to be, and just make your appointment on Monday. And over the weekend, that's when, like, as soon as she got back from the hospital, contractions, the body knew, she knew. And it was a lot of, it was a really traumatic experience to go through.
It was pretty traumatic,
because we just, neither of us knew what was happening. And then I think after that, then I remember, you were just in shock for the rest of that. I don't think that you remember much about the rest after that night. I don't think you probably can even remember that. But I remember you just being you were like a rock, just stone. The emotions were not even there. I think you were in
I do tend to go
shock.
Numb
and
when something hard happens.
And I remember that after that, the support was minimal. I don't remember anyone reaching out.
No. Well, I mean, my mom was there that night, and that was really helpful. And she's a nurse. So I was like, yeah, I would love for a nurse to be by my side right now.
Yes, your mother was there, which is great to help.
But I think because we were in the process of moving, like we didn't have a ward family yet. We didn't have like any close friends there. So yeah, I believe the only support we had was from my parents who lived right down the road. And I did lots of phone calls to your sisters.
Yep. I didn't expect you to do that either. I mean, my sisters apparently were a great help for you, but I mean, they were, I expected more from, I guess, I don't know what I expected from people at that time. I mean, what do you expect from people? And I don't think people really know how to be able to handle like, oh, you lost a baby. How was it for you? Like, it's not exactly a normal thing that you would talk about. Most people will end up saying things that are more hurtful, thinking that they're being really nice.
And I think
like what?
Oh, I've got a list.
Oh, she's got a list
in my mind, but no, I think it's harder to approach as well, because if you are mourning or grieving someone who has lived a life, you have something to look at. Like, oh, I remember when Jimmy was in kindergarten, or Jimmy got his first job and Jimmy had 12 children. Like, it's so much easier to have something to talk about or reflect on. But when you lose a child, regardless of how long the pregnancy made it, you never really got a chance to see their face or get to know them, like see them grow and live a life. So it's harder to approach, because I think until a child is born, it does seem imaginary to those who are not, directly parenting the child, or, those who didn't create the child.
Right. And I mean, not only that, but politically, I mean, people refuse to even accept that it's life until a certain amount of age. And so it just makes it so it's like, oh, it's an imaginary thing until it comes out. And it's not. The baby's alive. That baby has a soul and it's got a spirit, and it is there. And I wish I could have gotten to know Shiloh is the name. And I wish I got to know Shiloh. But, the things that people would say were just not helpful sometimes. I remember there was people who would say, well, at least the baby wasn't further along. Right. Like, it could have been worse. Or, hey, at least, you can get pregnant. Or at least, and there was a lot of at least, trying to make it better than what it was.
God's got a plan.
Yeah,
there's a reason for everything. Now, I think people say those things because they're trying to take away from the pain.
Yeah, you try to find the silver lining.
Yeah, I understand their point of view. And honestly, before this loss, I would usually say the same things.
Sure. I think it's pretty natural.
Yeah. But after that loss, I learned, don't say any at least, or God has a plan, or...
Why is that bad?
I think when you are, especially like in the very beginnings of grief, you just want permission to feel it. So instead of people trying to distract you from it, you're like, can you just let me feel the pain for a bit? Like, don't rush me through this process. So I always recommend, if you know someone who's going through a pregnancy loss, think more practically instead of trying to distract them from pain. Offer to get them groceries, sit with them, ask them, like, now you definitely need to pray about how to approach each individual person, but what was the favorite part of your pregnancy? Like, is there anything you want to share?
Right. I would say it's actually more comfortable to say, hey, what were the good things that you remember about all of this?
Because I wanted to talk about it, and I had no one to talk about it to.
No. And everyone was only ever focused on, oh, I'm sorry it happened to you.
Right.
But again, there were so many people that at least talked to me that said, well, at least it wasn't further along, or at least you knew early on, and I'm just like,
I think another reason those phrases can be hurtful is because I think that is something the griever has to get to on their own. Like at some point I was like, oh yeah, like now looking back, I can see how God utilized that loss in the plan of my life. Like looking back, I'm realizing all of these things, and yeah, at least I can get pregnant, and I've been pregnant twice after.
Right. But in that moment, I almost wanted to punch him in the face.
Yes.
Because I was like, what? I mean, it could have been worse. Congratulations. Is what I'm going through not good enough? I mean,
yeah.
Like, I'm glad, and it just, I remember feeling so angry at the time. Mm-hmm. I was so upset. And I was angry because it's hard, because remember when we were talking earlier about when you have the baby that you get a hold in your arms, it's hard when suddenly that's taken away from you. And you're like, wow, it's the same feeling of extreme joy that you have when you get to hold the baby is also a very similar feeling of frustration and anger when you have the expectation that you do, but then it's ripped from you. And it's a very, very hard feeling.
Do you feel like, God forbid this would ever happen to you again, but if people said those same things to you now, do you feel like you would still be like super angry about it, or would you kind of know like they just don't get it, and like they like
both? And like I think
you'd still feel some frustration, and
it's still hurtful.
Right. It's not that we would be I wouldn't be angry about it. At the time, I just didn't know how. I mean, again, it was first time going through this, and I'd never really experienced this amount of grief before.
It does kind of set your, like, it sets you up for just like how do you respond to that? Like, hey man, at least this is, and you're just like,
you don't respond. You're just like,
yeah, you just nod your head. You're like, great, thanks. This conversation can end now. There's no need to go further with that.
No.
And usually they were just like, oh, I know you just probably don't want to talk about it. And it's like, no, what you said was offensive, and I don't want to keep talking to you anymore. And so it was hard, and I understand people had the best intentions now.
Yeah.
And, in the same situation without having any experience in that, I probably would have said a lot of things too, to try and say like, hey, I'm trying to help you out, but it's not
cheer you up.
It's not like a toddler, like going on the ground, hitting his knee with dirt and gravel and then saying, oh, just put a Band-Aid on it. It could have been worse. Yeah. That's not how you handle grief and loss.
And that's all I think is important to know is like, is that nobody's trying to, or at least very rarely are people trying to hurt you, but it's also equally important to know that for people to know to just not do that.
Yeah.
Right. But
that's why I say like, pray before you speak, pray before you act. 'Cause I mean,
well, who's going to
show some mercy to the people that do anyway.
Right. But I mean, just who's going to teach them? Like what if their parents never really experienced, how to help somebody with it?
Right. And
it's not like you teach your kids and then you don't learn it in school. You don't learn it at church. You have to figure this out on your own because you went through it. And that's why sometimes it's hard sometimes when the Lord says, oh, grieve with those who grieve and weep with those who weep. It's hard to do that when you have no understanding of how they're feeling.
That's when I learned that concept.
It really puts perspective to what Jesus went through and how he has an infinite power to be able to be there and know exactly what to say or what not to say.
Yeah.
Or just what to help you feel. Yeah. And that is so comforting to know that he knows everything, because I definitely don't.
No. Well, I always think about, Lazarus. When Lazarus died and, Jesus visited Mary and Martha, what is the scripture? It says, Jesus wept. He didn't try to counsel. He didn't try to explain away why he didn't show up in time to bless Lazarus. He wept with them. And that is, I think, exactly what you should be doing if someone is grieving. Be there for them. I think sometimes we forget that we are called human beings. We're not human doings. Sometimes the best thing to do is just be there with them.
I would agree. I think Jesus Christ, when he was there, he knew he could bring Lazarus back from the dead. Mm-hmm. He knew that he could do all those things. However, he instead said, hey, let me weep with them, help them grieve.
Yeah.
And then he brought him back from the dead. Exactly. And he was there for them, helped them get through the grief process that they probably needed to learn at the time. Mm-hmm. And then he didn't remove their ability to be able to learn, but then he still blessed them to bring back Lazarus.
Yeah.
Really, really cool story.
Yeah.
Also why why you say there's some people that say, oh, Jesus wept. That's easy. It's not. It is a divine instruction on how to be able to help those who are grieving.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So I feel like after the loss, I think my body processes grief and anger.
I agree.
Yes. And I think me personally, I do tend to be quick to anger. It's a weakness of mine. Something I
will disagree. You're not quick to anger. However, I can say that there are some things that can just trigger you and set you off real quickly. Like me when I sniffle. Oh, she hates that. But I mean, there are some things that Emelia. I remember when we lost the baby, Emelia's her reaction to it was very much, why did this happen to me? Mm-hmm. I'm doing everything right. I have prepared everything that I could. Why was this baby taken from me?
Yeah. Well, it was kind of the start of, everything was going so great. And very quickly, it was the start of like the worst year of our marriage.
Yep.
We lost a child. And then I think that we moved into our home 4 months later. Mm-hmm. And we found out we were pregnant again, like 2 months after that miscarriage.
That's true.
I was petrified.
2 months.
2 months. So
that's not a very long time at all.
Our women are very, very fertile in those first few months after a loss or pregnancy.
Didn't know that.
Yep,
Yes,
surprise.
I didn't really know either. But my doctor said, just wait one cycle and then you can start trying again if you feel ready. And I don't think I was ready emotionally, but it happened.
It did. It was, I think, how this all played out when we had that loss. I could tell that again we had no way of being able to figure that all out, other than just what we're going to do the best that we can. And I remember Emelia is very smart, and she's very quick to, hey, why am I feeling this? Oh, I understand why I'm feeling this. And so she was able to at least do her own self-study to figure out where to find her support. But I feel bad for any woman who has to go through anything and does not know where to find support and doesn't know where to go to, because, it's petrifying.
Yeah.
And so Emelia said, you know what, I know how to get through this. I can get myself through this process. She's she gets everything done on her own. She's like, I can do this. And she was like, look, I'm ready to go ahead and try again. And so we tried again, and we didn't think, hey, you know what? Sure, we had a loss, but I don't think the Lord was trying to say that we shouldn't. It's just we were just saying, hey, we both felt like, hey, it's time to try again.
Yeah.
And so we tried again, and we did get pregnant for a second time.
Yep.
However, I think Emelia, it was tough because Emelia was still going through the loss and grief of our first, and we had a second on the way, and she was petrified and scared of what could have happened again. And I think at the time she was suffering with anxiety, and because of that anxiety, and also you were probably also postpartum and you didn't realize what postpartum was. And so her emotions and her hormones were all over the charts. And I remember I mean, there would be days where she just felt incredibly angry at me. And I was like, wow, I'm going to make it through this day. I'm going to be able to go to work. I got to come home. Everything's going to be
I
fine.
may not make it through this day.
Honestly, I was very, very mean. But I think it's just...
I can say she was.
Yeah,
It's interesting that you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, dude, I was mean.
She was very mean
I was
at
mean.
that time.
Like that. Yeah.
So I feel like I processed a lot of the emotions
Right.
outwardly.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you were the victim of a lot of it.
Yeah.
But with you, I never knew how you were feeling.
And I think I was scared to be able to tell her what I was feeling, because when I was telling her, hey, you know what, this is what I feel, usually was met with either anger or met with, well, let me try and fix you and why you're feeling that way. And she was very quick to get to the grieving process and get herself through it. I didn't know where to even turn to. I didn't have a group of dudes that I could go and talk to. And it's not like mental health is for men is one of the hot topics on YouTube. That's not what you're going to find typically. And so I was just saying, hey, you know what? It'll be okay. We're going to figure it out. I was looked to be the support, the foundation. Don't change anything drastically and just hold firm. And that's not what she needed at the time. She needed me to be vulnerable, and I wasn't. I was very much a stone wall for a lot of things.
So actually I have a quote or maybe not a quote, but a statistic. So the NIH did 29 studies about the grief process after miscarriage or pregnancy loss. And in a few of them, they focused on men, which is a very underlooked category. So in 7 of the studies, they found that, social expectation is that males ought to be the caretakers and sources of strength, and that the men felt unable to express their emotions due to that expectation, that they maintain control of the situation and be a comfort to their female partner. While many men would make the effort to appear overtly strong and return to their regular life as a coping strategy, they nevertheless experience internal feelings of stress and vulnerability. Furthermore, men often reported feeling unable to respond to their female partners with emotional support, preferring instead to absorb the practical stresses such as paying the bills in hope of maintaining routine and protecting their female partners. And then in 5 studies, they identified the lack of social recognition, I can't read today. The lack of social recognition that many men felt in dealing with a pregnancy loss, describing feeling overlooked, alienated, and marginalized in comparison to their female partners who had suffered the physical experience and whose pain was more visible.
It's true. That sums it up just about. That about nails it on the head. I remember that there was a lot of support that you got as a wife. You're the one that went through the loss, the physical miscarriage and all of that. And it just, I remember I was kind of on the sidelines and people would look at me like, oh, well, you didn't go through any of that. You were just on the sideline. You watched it happen like all of us. And it was just, I didn't know how to handle my emotions at the time, because I was like, wow, should I feel that way? Or should I be feeling like, oh, I didn't even know if I had permission to feel as the loss that like you did.
Why were you feeling that way? Was it just because like people weren't calling you on the phone, or did somebody say something to you, or were you telling I want to hear some specifics.
So there was, I think, 3 different things. It was the fact of I didn't have any group to be able to talk to. And so it left me with a lot of isolation.
Okay.
And so isolation was one problem. The second thing was that I didn't have any knowledge. I had no material that I looked to. I was never even told to even look towards anything, or saying like, hey, you could probably use a little bit of mental help as well. you should probably talk to a therapist or talk to somebody who's licensed, or maybe you should go and talk to even a religious leader about this. No one told me any of that. I was left again with isolation and no knowledge. And then the third thing was that I had the expectation for myself that if ever she was going through something very difficult, then I needed to be the person that said, hey, you know what? I'm going to be the one that's stable. And I thought stability is what she needed in order to be able to get through. So if I gave her permission to be able to feel everything that she felt, and if I kept everything stable in her life, everything would work out. And then I would be fine. Time would heal all. I will be okay.
And did you just feel like you couldn't do that? Or why was that?
So you are actually bringing into the point where this is exactly what she would ask me.
Yeah.
And it came down to her almost begging me on every single day to just say, just talk to me. Tell me what you're feeling. And I didn't know what to tell her.
Well, first, before we move to that, like back to your first two things, is you felt isolated, you're alone, you don't have anybody to share this with. So like this thing happens, this grievous, however you felt about it, there was just a lot of feelings, and you just didn't have anybody
there was no
share that with, and that's problematic.
I would say
it became
absolutely
problematic.
I had no one to talk to. I didn't even know our bishop at the time. I don't even remember his name.
Nope.
Yeah, neither do you.
I don't know.
I mean, we were in a brand new ward at the time, and I didn't know who anybody was. I don't even know if anybody in the ward even knew we went through that. Can you name a single family that you even know from the ward that knew that we went through miscarriage? There you go.
Not at the time, no.
And that was even for her. I think there was one person, I think there's one lady that knew that did bring you something one time. It was once.
My high school vocal coach.
Right.
Yes.
And she wasn't from our ward though. I mean, she was just a friend. Yeah. And so she had somebody who came to her, but you'll notice that when she came, she only talked to you. She never really asked me any questions.
That's true.
She didn't ask anything about me, her husband, and I don't think he came. And so I never got to, I literally I got to be on the sidelines watching her receive all of the help. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was normal.
Yeah. It was a lot of like, oh, Emelia, like, how can we help you? Like, can I bring you something from the store? Like, A, B, C, D. Whereas for Wilford, it was just, I'm sorry. Which actually
I don't even think I even got that very often. No. Like that's where I'm like, wow, I was so alienated from all of this. And that's where I think I had a lot of feelings like, oh, I'm not supposed to feel grief. Mm. And so I feel like I didn't even have permission to, and I wasn't even supposed to. I was supposed to just be there for you and say, hey, I'm supposed to be your errand runner. Go grab you a sandwich if you need it, or go grab you food or whatever craving that you had. And that was what I was supposed to do as a husband, right? To take care of you. And I at no point did I ever receive permission to even grieve, or even I never knew that I could. And so I had all these feelings of frustration, and I couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah. It is hard. So yeah, you internalized a lot of the feelings you were having, and quite literally it became silence, where you'd come home from work and I'd like want to catch up and there'd be no response.
No. And you were also like 5 steps ahead in the grieving process than I was. Because I was still in the shock of, oh, we lost a baby. We have a second one on the way. Whoa. Like
that was quick.
And so it's like how, and I should be excited, and I should feel super happy the fact that we had a second baby on the way. Right. And it was so fast.
Did it have anything to do with you like having negative experiences prior? Like when you did try to communicate with Emelia that she was in the thick of it,
let me
just
tell
like
you how I'm not
to where you were like, I'm just not even going to open my mouth because every time I do, it goes south.
I have to be careful here. However,
No.
I think it was like there were points where I was like, you know, I don't know if I was able to bring up everything to her at that time because I felt nervous because of, again, that she was very quick to anger on a lot of things. And so she was pushing me towards like, hey, I need you to be vulnerable with me and I need you to tell me what's going on. But at the same time, I would tell her something and then she would be upset. Well, why don't you feel more? Well, why don't you feel more? Why don't you feel what I feel? And why aren't you going through the grieving process as fast as I am?
Right.
And because we were at two different paces, she had, I mean, she was going through the grieving process quickly and she understood it and she was able to get through. Me, I was still in the shock of like trying to figure out like, I don't know how to act here. And I can tell that she's moving on. And then it became this feeling of pressure of like, okay, well, I'm just going to be like good to go because that's what she needs. And you know what? I guess I'm just going to have to like skip a few pieces of this grieving process because I need to speed it up. We have another baby and we're supposed to be happy on the way. All right. I can't be over here still grieving loss, right? When she's good to go, she has everything that she needs. And then she would be asking me about it. And I was like, you know what? What do you want me to say? I mean, and if I did, Lord forbid if I did, it was like, oh man, it was.
So
it was a hard time.
How are you seeing this?
Like when he was in the, like very silent.
Yeah. Like what's going through your mind? Why are you?
Confusion. Like,
oh yeah, you were so upset.
It was a terrible time because yes, I was grieving and then I was also pregnant. Oh, I'm supposed to be happy. Like, oh, but I'm also super anxious because what happened last time, like this one's probably not going to make it either.
And her brain would always go to the worst case scenario for everything.
Oh, yes. And so I think I had pretty severe anxiety at that time. I mean, I remember...
You crippling anxiety.
Crippling. And because Wilford wasn't talking, I internalized that too. Like, oh my gosh, my husband's not talking to me. Like, but we're about to be parents. We got to fix this right now. And
yeah, he hates me. Like, he doesn't want me as a wife. He doesn't need this. And it came down to my silence was becoming permission for her to start to put walls up in the marriage. And
I do that very easily.
She's quick to kill a relationship if it is
people very quickly.
The left hand offends her, it's cut off. Like it's gone.
Yeah. That's biblical.
Yes,
biblical.
That's what I'm referencing.
Yeah. So I think because he wasn't talking, my anxiety got worse. I was having panic attacks every day, sometimes multiple times a day.
Yeah, like hyperventilating in a dark closet
bad.
corner. Like I was like, I don't know how to handle this. Again, I didn't know how to handle loss on my own, and then I'm over here watching her. I mean, have these attacks, and I'm like, I don't know how to handle this. And looking back, we needed some serious help. And
we needed therapy.
And
really
we had
bad.
no idea. I mean, the thing is, it was also hard because I mean, if you look at your family history, it's not any better. And so it's just hard when we're like, look, we don't know what to do. And so
I feel like at that time we needed like a hero.
Yeah,
and
we did.
There wasn't a hero for us.
Yeah.
So,
in that story, there was no hero.
No. So you were, I guess I interpreted it as you cutting me out emotionally. So I felt like, okay, well, I guess two can play this game.
Right. And then it became, hey, your sister then saying things to you like, hey,
divorce.
Yeah, divorce. Why
That's
do you
easy.
why
I've
are you
done
even
it
with
a few
him?
times, you
yeah,
know?
he's not there for you.
Yeah. Well,
Wild.
because after months and months of me being like, like literally, I would say the phrase, talk to me, please, multiple times a day. And sometimes sentences, and I mean quite literally silence.
And
where he would not know how to respond.
I didn't know how to respond. I would literally just sit there in silence. One, because I didn't know what to say. And two, I felt like I was the one needing help too.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I don't know what to say. It's like, you're asking me to give you something that I don't have. You're asking me to share my feelings. I don't know what I feel. And it's just, I was still trying to figure out how to be able to process these emotions, and then trying to figure out how to put these emotions. These are strong emotions. Mm-hmm. I had no idea how to put those emotions into the form of language to be able to communicate with you. It's not, people don't realize that in order for you to be able to communicate your feelings, that's a practice. That is an art, and that is a skill that takes time. Somebody who's not accustomed to learning the language of I can communicate these hard feelings to you in a way you're going to understand. Someone who has not practiced that or heard it or listened to it doesn't know how to do that. And you, in your life, you learn how to do that from an early age. Unfortunately, you went through, I mean, a lot of traumatic things in your childhood. And you know what? Here you are. You learned the language. For me, I didn't have that. I had my parents who were like, hey, this is fine. A plus B equals C. You know what? Everything's going to be okay. And if you have a problem, wait it out because it'll solve itself.
Right.
And it was not the case for this. No. And so I was like, this is new territory for me. You're asking me to comfort you or talk to you about something and be vulnerable about feelings that, one, I don't know how to talk to you about this. Mm-hmm. It's not that I don't know the English word. It's the fact that I have a feeling and it doesn't match the word that I was trying to, like, that I learned of what it was. And so I was like, how do I communicate this? I don't know how. And then my silence turned into, you're not talking to me. I still need you to talk. And I'm like, okay, now I'm under pressure. So it's like, how do I then take one? I was like, I don't know how to remove the pressure for me to then be able to talk to you. And work was so busy at the time.
I think you had switched jobs too.
I did. I had
really
gone through it.
Job.
Granted, it was a job that led me into my career where I am now.
Yeah.
But it also, it wasn't what I expected when I went into it. So I was going through a lot of different things of like, wow, my job is not what I expected it to be. I felt lied to there. Mm-hmm. And then, wow, I just went through a loss. I have another baby on the way. The house is getting really expensive to be able to live in. And I was like, wow, what do we do here? Like 6 months ago, we were high and mighty and dandy. Everything was great. And then suddenly it turned into the world's upside down. I'm at half the income that where we were.
Oh no,
or even
a
less.
third.
Right. It was a huge pay cut.
Yeah.
And then the fact that it was a huge pay cut, I felt like we were starting to drown. I was like, how on earth am I going to be able to make it through this? All while all these emotions are spinning through.
Right.
And then you needed me to be strong. And that's how I felt. And so I was like, silence was what you were getting because I had no words.
You had nothing else to give. Which looking back, I totally get your point of view. Like I understand. I don't know if I can understand, but I think I can understand the pressure you were under.
But at that time, I mean, you were telling me the words divorce came out in our home almost every day.
Yeah.
And
it's bad.
Yeah. How do you,
but
that's a hard thing to go through. It's like, wow.
I was petrified because I was, I think at the time, 20. I was still so young. Mm-hmm. We were drowning in debt now. Like we needed to sell our home. We could not afford it. We were grieving. My husband was not talking to me. Like I don't even think we were friends at that point. You weren't my friend anymore.
It was a tough time.
And so I was like, okay, I guess there's nothing left for me to do, but I'm going to keep trying. Like the the amount of time I spent on my knees that year was exorbitant. Just
Right.
constantly praying, like, tell me what to do, because obviously I don't know what to do.
Right.
And I didn't want to fail. But
Right. That's something that's really hard for you.
Yeah. But I felt like because there was no reciprocation, or in my eyes, it looked like there was no effort, or it wasn't the effort that I think I wanted to see on your end. I just thought, well, the obvious decision is divorce. He obviously doesn't want to be married.
Right. Obvious. That's it. Yeah. That's it.
Okay. Let's talk about that for a moment, because we have very different views on divorce.
Right. We do.
You go first.
Oh man, let me tell you how, look, I think that divorce is this terrible thing. Like if you're going through a divorce, like you guys didn't figure it out. Like apparently there was nowhere in my family. Well, there has been divorces in my family.
Extended family.
Exactly. Extended family. And you know what? I didn't really know my extended family to begin with very much. I've met them, but you tell me who's in my extended family on my father's side right now, or even my mother's side, past my grandmother. I don't know who they are. In fact, I think I even have cousins. I still don't know their names. And
you have a big family.
I've been so isolated from all my extended family on both sides. And so, yeah, I know that I think a divorce happened, but it's like hearing like, oh, a divorce happened in like celebrity propaganda, because I don't even know who they are. So like,
yeah,
it's like hearing about it in the newspaper. It's the same feeling of like, oh, I have no attachment to these people.
Yeah.
However, people that get married don't get divorced. Like you're in it, you made a commitment, and you should stick it out. And that has and still continues to be a lot of my I guess my point of view, but I've now with time started to realize, oh, you know what? It's probably flawed. However, she had a very different point of view.
Yeah. Like, name one person in my family who hasn't been divorced. Well, I guess my one sister.
And Ben, he's not married yet.
And Ben.
So.
But no, like both of my parents have been divorced. One of my siblings has had 4 divorces. Both my grandparents have been divorced. Like it's just very, very common. And so for me, it was like, oh, well, I'll always keep that on my list of options, logically.
Right. That's a very logical thing to have.
So,
like that's it. That's my trump card,
So I think I used that very terribly.
I feel like it was almost weaponized.
Very rude of me how I utilized that. Now, to this day, this is 4.5 years later. It's still on my list of options, but I think
I don't know where to get it
for
off.
a different reason. So I've seen divorce many, many times. And the reason it will always be on my list of options is because it's one I never want to choose. So I feel like because it's an option, I need to do everything I can to stay happily married. Like I never wanted to settle for an okay marriage. Not my cup of tea. I've seen it, don't like it. I want a happy marriage. And as soon as I feel like marriage gets unhappy and both people are not putting in effort, well, then divorce.
Right. And I still don't think that. I mean, granted, I know that she's like, wow, it's like a loose term for her. And I'm over here like, no, it's like when you get married, it's a commitment and you stick it out even through the hard times. Because then in my head, it's like, I believe that if you just stick it out, eventually you're still going to be friends all the way through. And it shows the commitment through the whole process.
The concept of sticking it out is very different between you and I.
Correct.
I think sticking it out is like, oh, you are going to do 155%, like
to fix it.
Therapies. You're going to go on dates all the time, even though you don't like each other. Like you're supposed to do everything in your power, exercise every tool in your toolbox to help your marriage thrive and heal. And after you go through all that, then maybe you can call it quits.
Right. For me, it was like, hey, give it some time. If you have a fight, just just let's take a few hours, come back to it, and see if we have better perspective on it. That's not how she is. And
No.
I mean, and so she's like, no, there's an obvious problem. We need to talk it out right now. And I'm like, I need 5 minutes to even process what I'm even upset about.
Obviously, this is something we're probably going to struggle with throughout our whole marriage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But she's aware of it now.
Yes. We're at the time.
It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. And
So
it was hard.
It was hard because I felt like I was doing everything. I was
Right.
praying all the time, going to the temple. I was consulting with peers and family. I felt like I was doing everything I could, and I didn't see any effort on your end. Even though there might have been effort going on, I didn't see it. So I felt like, okay.
If you remember doing all of those things, I was not included in any of it. If you remember, we went through we did a very different grieving process where you grieved and made all the right steps that you needed. Mm-hmm. I didn't, even my own father, mother, they didn't know how to tell me or help me get through that. They never went through miscarriage.
No.
I had no experience.
And looking back, I do feel bad.
And so I went through it isolated from my own wife. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you said, I need to heal. I'm going to heal. Yeah. You took on the journey, and I was like, oh, there she goes. And then you're like, I'm ready to get pregnant again. I was like, okay, I guess I just have to be ready. Yeah. But again, if you remember, I didn't even feel like, I was like, oh, I'm not even supposed to grieve. Mm-hmm. Like it was for you, not for me.
Right.
And now I realize that was not the case.
Yeah. So I think in my mind, I made a timeline. Like if by the time our child is born and my husband is still not talking to me, and
she had an ultimatum.
If
that's what that's called.
Yes. If by that time, like we have not figured out our crap, I'm going to have to pursue divorce.
Yep.
And it was terrifying because that's not what I wanted. All I could think of was, how can I be a 21-year-old single mom, no education?
Oh,
my family was kind of a hot mess at the time.
Like she's like, look, what's the game plan? Like, where's my go bag? Like she had. Well,
I was mentally preparing. Like, how can I create a new bank account? How can I get a side job?
Yeah, you know that girl who's like starting to get ready for the breakup, and the dude's like, why did this even happen? Like, I didn't realize that this was a problem, And then suddenly she's like, you didn't notice for 6 months I've been checking out? Well, look, it's and that is the classic process of what happens. Like when a woman does not feel it's right, she doesn't leave right away. She typically, unless it's something dumb that the guy did. But
I think women are very meticulous, and they plan it.
Right, you did. You're like, I got to plan my exit strategy. How am I going to make the best of this situation? Yeah. And she really was for almost a year. Like it was what, 7 months?
6, yeah.
It was like 6 or 7 months. She was like, this is it. I'm checking out. Like I'm ready to go ahead and figure out how to get.
I was like, I'm going to keep trying, but also I'm going to create a plan B and get it figured out so that when I do have to leave, I have a place to live. I have a job. I have money.
And all of this was happening because we had no understanding of each other and how our grieving process was different. So we almost lost our marriage over a misunderstanding.
I've got to rewind a little bit.
Yes.
Oh no.
Well, I'll also quickly throw my 2 cents in on the divorce issue, and all right. All I'll say about that is I don't think that we have a very good, just as society in general, I don't think that the worlds that we've grown up in really understand what marriage is supposed to be, and therefore, I think we don't see marriage the right way right now. And so I don't even until people really understand what marriage is supposed to look like and supposed to be, which again, I think we're off of that.
Yeah.
I don't think that anybody should be trying to decide what divorce should look like, because it's anyway.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, it's also hard when you have people who grow up and they don't even have a classic family to be able to look back to. They don't have parents to be the example. And when you don't have a solid parents who were that couple that were like, oh, that's what a marriage is supposed to look like, it trickles down for generations of them trying to figure it out.
Oh, I don't even think, see, I say that, I don't think that we have like ever seen what a marriage is supposed to look like. I think it's a very deep, concept that when we're on the other side and thousands and thousands of years from now, we're going to understand, like, we're going to see how this was like the baby version of what is supposed to be. But anyway.
No, I agree.
So I want to go back to this, because this is like big conundrum I have. So you have this experience and Emelia like becomes emotional.
Very.
Okay. That's like common knowledge, right? Like that's to be expected. That's what that's what the professionals are going to tell you. Like, this thing happened and she's going to be emotional. Like, it's going to be problematic for her. And even it's just interesting to me that, like, even you look back and even in hindsight, you're like, oh yeah, dude, like I was emotional. I was mean.
Yeah. And
then it affects Wilford. Like that obvious right off the bat, that's going to affect Wilford.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying like now it's up to Wilford to see like, how are you going to respond to this? And he's probably not going to respond perfectly to that. So technically, like, both people are in the wrong, and it's going to cause an issue. Right. But what do you like? Is there a right answer for Wilf? First of all, is there a right answer for Emelia? How much control do you actually have over your emotions? I feel like that's a thing that's like, it's like hot take.
Understand women 101 right now.
I think it's I don't know. At this point, dude, I actually don't know. But it's treated almost like a scapegoat of like, I can, my actions are justified because I just had a miscarriage.
Right.
Whereas I'm like, dude, I can't even begin to understand like what that means, that you're like what you're going through due to that. All I'm saying is that I can't find anywhere doctrinally that says.
Can I attempt to answer this? I'm going to attempt. You correct me if I'm wrong, because it's very possible I might be wrong on this answer. I'm going to give it my best shot. So to try and explain what I understand is that when a woman is going through postpartum, or when she's going through things like that, or that are very where hormones are involved, it's very much, think of these feelings. Imagine that you woke up and you had lost a brother or a sister, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just lost a family member. And you didn't, you just feel that way. And then a lot of the reactions that she was feeling were, oh, I feel this. And then later on in the day, she's like, oh, wow, I feel like I could go for an ice cream. and so it comes down to,
well said.
So she feels her hormones, when they go up or down, the hormonal balance that a woman has a massive effect on her attitude and just being able to feel. And so when she feels a certain way because of either postpartum, the depression and anxiety can be very real, and it can be very, very crippling. At least for her, it was extremely crippling. And she had all these feelings where she would tell me, I don't know why I feel this way, but I feel like I'm at a huge, tremendous loss when I wasn't. Or maybe she'd be like, I'm really actually very happy right now. And she's like, I'm doing great. And then a couple hours later, she's not. And it's not that it's like, oh, bipolar or anything like that, which I don't understand bipolarism very much. However, the mood swings were very, very strong. And it's really just the emotions are there. They're very real. And they don't have a reason. It's imagine for us, it's hard as men to be like, oh, how do you even understand this? Imagine if like at any random moment, like you were attacked on a street and you have this adrenaline spike, like, oh my gosh, I have to defend. Like I'm feeling very anxious. The blood spiking, your body goes into a defensive mode. Your body will change when you're being attacked. Now imagine it does that for no reason.
Right. So that
It's not
and
an
that's
excuse.
That's a good.
It's just it happens for.
It's a good picture. So teach me about that versus agency.
I don't. Okay, so
Hormones versus agency.
Oh no!
Oh dear, that's a hot take. So no,
I'm not expecting you to be an expert on it. I just I want to make it clear.
Yeah.
You have expressed already that in hindsight you're like, that was not good. So my question is, did you have any control over that at that time?
I feel like I don't, and I'm going to speak for myself only. I feel like in the moment I didn't, like between the hormones that would just, drop in hormones and then getting pregnant. So a rise in hormones and grieving and the emotions behind that. And I think I was losing control of my emotion. And that was obvious through my panic attacks I was having all the time. The way I was treating you wasn't very great.
She could have gone away with murder.
Stop.
So, I'm just kidding.
No, I think maybe sometimes I would say or do something and be like, oh, that was harsh. But
right. I would say that you didn't lose your agency. You knew the right or wrong thing to do, but it didn't feel like it was the right or wrong thing. And I think the lines of what was right and wrong may have felt very distorted for you at that time. Yeah. Would that be a better way to explain that?
Maybe. I don't think that's something I've ever thought deeply about, Kevin. So
I have thought about this, and I really do think that during that time, I don't hold a ton of grudge, but it's because I really do believe that you were having feelings of frustration that you're like, why do I feel this way? And instead of thinking, oh, why do I feel this way? It came out as, I'm feeling this way. Oh, it must have been because of this. And you were quick to try and then take that emotion. And in your quest to try and figure out, why do I feel this way? You were quick to say, oh, I'm feeling these huge emotions. It must be because of this. Or I'm feeling it because of this. And you were quick to throw it. And I knew that wasn't the case. However, you didn't know that. And I watched you tear yourself apart sometimes on these huge things. Like, I can't believe I do this. I'm so hard. And you were so hard on yourself for some things that didn't really need it. And it was like, I knew it was because you probably just had these really huge, big emotions that didn't have a reason. It was just emotions caused with no purpose. And so you were trying to repurpose these emotions when in reality, you knew what was right and wrong. You were just distorted in your feeling of what's right, what's wrong. And, oh, I have huge emotions for this one. It's like, it's really not that big a deal. And you're like, this is a huge deal.
The emotions were blinding sometimes.
It could be.
Okay, going off of the agency thing, I will say, I think me personally, I am just more vocal about my emotions in general. Like Wilford will definitely agree with that. If he does something I don't like it, I'm very quick to let him know, like, bruh, that was dumb.
That happens a lot.
A lot. And so,
he does a lot of dumb stuff.
More common. I'm very practiced in this now.
So like, I think just the combination of like my personality and how I approach problems combined with the emotions and hormones and just all the difficult things we were going through was a bad tornado.
So I think another huge problem with that is that nobody prepared her for that. Again, there was a huge lack of communication and preparation to say, oh, you're going to go through postpartum. You've got to learn, how does that actually work for you? What are you going to feel? And because she had no preparation for it, she started to realize that much more. You learned, I think you learned about it significantly more.
I think after we Nathan had was
our
born,
first boy.
That's
Nathan.
when I finally addressed
and you're
my
like,
anxiety.
oh my gosh, these are all the same feelings. And then when she started experiencing it for a second time, she was like, oh, I'm having these feelings. They don't have a reason because things are more stable in my life. And at the first time, you had a reason to be able to have all these feelings. They were just magnified or minimized for different things. And you're like, oh, this is why. And you were able to point a finger. The second time, things were more stable. Things were a little bit more normal. And so you're like, these are abnormal feelings. This doesn't make sense. And that's when you really...
Yeah. After Nathan was born, I had lots of anxiety again. And there wasn't an obvious thing to point to besides, oh, yeah, there might be something chemically imbalanced in my brain. And that's when I finally addressed my anxiety.
And that's why I'm so much more prepared for our third.
Well, so check this out. Okay.
Oh no.
If we have, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to sit here and like tell you like what, you know, I don't know. I don't know. That's why I'm asking hormones versus agency. Like, I don't know. I have like probably the man, the leaning toward the man reasoning for that.
Everything,
but I don't know.
Logical,
and
right?
So assuming that you're like, dude, it's just this thing happens and it's like this overwhelming thing that comes over us and it is out of our control. And you feel like that's how you feel. It's just a weird thing because it's like then the next question is, so what do we do? What does the man do at that point? It's like we're fighting if that's the case. If that's the case, again, like nobody. If that's the case, nobody's to blame. First of all, it's like this thing just happened, and now we have to just like figure out how to respond to it. And so it's like, how does the guy respond to it? And initially, it kind of goes back and forth. Like you kind of by trial and error. Like first, the guy, the logical mind is like, I have to respond to this and I have to fix it and I have to fight it. And eventually when that doesn't work, then we're like, well, I just have to remove myself then. I just have to literally, sometimes even physically just remove myself from the situation. And that's when, but now we're shut down and now everything's silent. So and now I'm not getting anything out. And I'm not saying that like, again, that's why I'm not saying that one person is perfect and the other one is the problem. I'm saying that because that's how I was always taught. And I'm a firm believer in that, is that I don't think that marriages are supposed to have the one person versus the other. In fact, it's hardly ever that way.
Yeah.
But if you look closely enough, like if you look close enough and you really critically think about like whatever the issue is, you should be able to arrive at it's you two versus the issue. And
I have an idea. So I'm sure you have an idea as well. However, I think that for men, they don't realize that they're going to be going through this exact thing almost every month because they don't understand. It's hard for a man to understand a woman's emotions when it changes on a monthly cycle. And for a man, it is daily. Men, we will peak in our testosterone in the morning, And I think there's some truth to working out in the morning, doing things in the morning, because that's when men are able to spend the day essentially recovering and rebuilding from a morning workout and things like that. I think there's science to that. I can't prove anything, but I do think that, again, men's testosterone will peak in the morning. And then by nighttime, we're exhausted. Our minds are not as bright as a woman's mind. We are like, hey, I'm ready to go to bed. I can't have we're having a deep conversation. You're wanting to start that at 10 p.m. It's not happening. Men go through this in a 24-hour cycle. For a woman, they go through it in a monthly cycle. They hit their period that comes, and their whole body, again, it is essentially receiving something that should have been life and has not, and is now leaving the body. And it is a small piece of the body leaving every single month. And so for a woman, the emotions, again, the hormones are much more significant during that time, because the body's it's shedding something. And so the woman, when they're going through that cycle that they have every single month, it's tough for them sometimes to handle some of the emotions that come by, or they're more emotional over certain things, again, because they have these emotions that don't have reason. So they're going to point a finger and say, I'm really frustrated at that. That really annoys me. And then it's like, 2 weeks later, like, it didn't really bother me that much. And you're like, well, why did it bother you then? And it's not bothering you now. It's because oftentimes they have an emotion that doesn't have reason. And so they will point a finger to it. And it's hard for men to understand that.
What do you think?
Hormones will take over. I mean, not to use them as an excuse.
It's not.
But it is a factor.
It is.
Now, going off of the marriage part, I don't know, because our marriage was so young. I don't know if we had like a strong enough foundation to really survive that well. Mm-mm. We were still learning each other. I was terrified of marriage. I knew I wanted to get married. I knew I wanted kids. I was terrified of repeating what I had seen.
I was pretty scary.
No, stop. And our parents, like your parents versus my parents, very different marriages. Right. Or like the way that they tackled problem solving or child rearing, very different. So we have very different perspectives.
Right, that's true. My parents, the way that I grew up, my parents, sometimes they would fight in public, and then they would recompense or essentially get on the same page in private. And so when they would fight in public, we were all seeing the fight happen, and then they were all fine, and then a couple hours later they're fine. We're still on eggshells. Like, what happened? Like, I never got closure, you know? And I think there's a huge thing for, again, the parents, if they are going to be having like any sort of fight in public, then you gotta make it right in public too, so that everyone's got closure. Because that's how my parents were. And your parents, they fought in public, and they fought in public. They didn't make up very great. I mean, this is where it comes down to. I don't know how our parents make it. I would say
when I was a child, the makeups weren't that great.
Right. Later on in life, they stuck therapy, it out.
Yes.
But
they're pretty good now. But
they just had to stick it out, which is, again, where it comes down to a similar how I grew up, where it's like, if there's a problem, stick it out.
Right.
And it'll solve itself. It just took your parents a lot longer to do so.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my point is, and again, like, this is just my running theory. Like, I don't even, this is just, I'm thinking out loud.
Right.
And it seems that there's something to that struggle. But the problem is that, like, one thing I find interesting is that we see memes about this all the time. Is like the internet is just completely full of memes from like the woman's perspective to the man, guy's an idiot, and the woman and the man to the woman, like they're just emotional, and they're, you know, and like everybody's experiencing this same dynamic to some degree, but some people are quitting and some people are not.
Yeah.
And that's one thing, that's one detail that I think is being misunderstood about marriage. Like because it's it's funny to laugh at, and it's like, oh, funny meme, but it's causing people to get divorced. It's like ruining families at the same time. And so while we're like laughing at it, we're also not like candidly talking about how big of an issue, like how big of a problem it is that we need to actually have an answer for. And I just think that
don't you think there's an adversary that might be obviously trying to block and isolate that?
I think that there's an adversary trying to distort the idea that it's not only like kind of inevitable in a marriage, but my running theory is that it's like essential. It seems almost that it's designed this way to where we kind of just have to like learn to stick things out and just kind of like fight and be angry, but then forgive. And there's, you know, I have also observed not 2 different outcomes, but 3. And one, like the one outcome is divorce, where you just kind of like, it gets so intense and the heat is so hot that you just quit. And the other is that you never really repent. There's not a lot of repentance going on, and you just remain in this torrent, which typically usually ends with quitting. Yeah. It just takes a really long time for that to happen. Or sometimes it tips the other way, and they actually figure it out in the end. And sometimes, but then that's the third, is that you still never end up with like this utopian marriage, but you just develop a good, solid relationship that lasts through the thick and thin and gets through it. And so it's, I think that's like, people feel like stuff like this happens and you're like, yeah, dude, it's time to get divorced. Mm-hmm. But that's why I kind of lean that's just one of many reasons why I lean the way of not getting divorced, like ever, because it's like,
it's
part of it in a way. Like you're supposed, like, you know, there are exceptions. There's exceptions to everything. But anyway, in order to kind of move forward, I want to hear the resolution to this.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
No, I don't remember when it was. Maybe December or January. When I like approached you and I was like, listen, will you at least have a meeting with me and our bishop? Still don't remember his name, but it was like my last, like,
it was your last ditch effort, essentially, is what it came out to.
I felt like it.
Yeah. And what I remember is we talked to each other. I don't think I really got much out of that meeting, but what you did get was me showing some effort.
I finally heard you share what you were feeling.
Right. And you know what? It's the resolution. You know, a lot of people think it's just going to be like, oh, we just figured it out and that was it.
Happily ever after.
When in reality, the resolution was probably over like 2 years.
Yeah.
It was years of resolution to figure this out. In fact, even tonight, there's things that my wife is probably hearing for the first time, and just thinking, "Oh, wow, I didn't know that you felt that way." Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's been time plus real intent plus serving each other, where we've just said, "Hey, you know what? That's what brought us to be able to love each other and get through some hard times that we may not have been able to." Before. And so because of that, we were able to essentially move forward from where we lived in South Carolina. We then moved here to Missouri. We got family support that we really needed at the time. And it was a specific type of family support, and we needed we needed a certain thing. And we finally got here, and we were like, wow, okay, this is where we need to be. This is where we felt it was right. But then it took conversations of talking to each other to say, oh, it was piece by piece where she started to really chisel down a wall. I don't think the wall that we had didn't go down like the Berlin Wall one day and just like, oh, this is it. Here's a big wrecking ball and that's it. It came down because we chiseled it piece by piece.
Yeah.
And it was probably less shocking to our marriage at the time because we did it piece by piece, but it also, I think that we were able to examine the damage because we did it at a slower pace. And we just said, hey, you know what? This is how I felt. Okay, let's take our time to like figure out that one thing before we move on to the next. And I don't think that people can just magically change their marriage in one night. It won't happen. It requires good decisions over a long period of time and conversations with better understanding, with deeper understanding, piece by piece. And that's how the resolution for our marriage really came down to us making good change.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of had to restart our marriage. Like, sold our house, moved to a new state, around totally new people. We had a 3-week-old baby. Like, it was kind of like our marriage was being reborn. And we were just going to decide to tackle things better.
I just wonder how many couples have had to have this essentially reborn experience for their marriage multiple times after things that were hard.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes it's, it's the aftermath of a battle. And sometimes there's carnage that needs to be cleaned up before you're ready to be able to at least move on.
Yeah. So,
however, sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, okay. So I love podcasts, but I listen to Dr. John Deloney a lot. Yeah. So something he says is, you can be married to one person and have multiple marriages throughout your lifetime. Sometimes the marriage you have right now needs to die, and then you got to start a new one. I think that's what we did.
That's what we had to do.
We had to do it, because if we kept going, either we would have stayed married and been very, very miserable, or we would have ended it.
I will say that marriage is very much, now that going through all of these different things, you don't realize that in order for you to build a mansion, you have to go back to the foundation multiple times. And if you want to expand on your house, you don't get to expand it on the side and put it over dirt. When you want to expand and grow bigger, you can either go up or you can go out. And for many marriages, once you start getting up high, that's where the wind is. That's where the torrents are. That's where things that are difficult are. If you just stay easy in a small house, great. Congratulations. You're going to stay in a small house. You're not going to have the best of marriage. Or you can say, hey, we're just going to go sky high. But if you're on a small foundation going sky high, you can't expect to get too high before there are things in life that happen to you that you don't get to choose. And those are sometimes some things that you just can't prepare for. And so instead, I really believe that marriages need to go back to the foundation over and over and over again. If you want to go higher, then you've got to get lower, build the foundation again, and build up higher again. You cannot build a skyscraper on the foundation of a small single family home. It won't happen.
Yeah, kind of speaking to those, because you're kind of saying the same thing. I think that's like, lo and behold, that's the doctrine of our church on an individual level. Like that's what baptism, that's what the sacrament is all about. And
correct.
Which, by the way, I feel like it's a very misunderstood concept. It's not, if you're applying that principle correctly in your life, I think that is not normalized at all. It's a very, very weird thing for people. Again, if you do it right, because that's what it's compared to, is like the current you dying and then a new you being reborn. And what that really looks like is like weird to people right now. It's like if you start doing stuff and you become like a new person in Christ, like people should be like, when did you start doing that? Like, who is this guy? Like, why is, I brought this up probably in like Sunday school or something weeks ago. And like people would like suggest that you were like on drugs or something, or like, did
Right.
bro just hit the lottery or like what?
Right.
And it's like, no, dude, he's just like, that's what it's supposed to look like. It's like, and then maybe you revert to your old ways and you're like, oh, there's the Kevin we know. Now he's back to it. And it's like, no, dude, you just fell back.
Yep.
Try again, die again and be reborn again. Like that's the same. And that's the same thing in the marriage is like, if you're actually doing it right, like there should be drastic. It doesn't have to happen overnight, like you said, but like something has to happen. That's what I think is being misunderstood, is like people, I see it everywhere, dude. Individuals, relationships, what have you. People are like, oh yeah, no, we're trying, and it's a gradual process, and it takes years, and it does, but you have to be careful. It's a razor's edge between like taking years to actually progress and get better, and taking years to think that you're getting better, but you're actually not rendering any fruit that would suggest that you are. And that's that's a big thing that I see. Like a lot of people are falling under that trap where they're like, they feel like we're doing it, but they're actually not doing it.
I'm going to go back to the analogy of, if you remember the building a skyscraper, there's a lot of people that will get on this building. They will try and keep building it. And then there's comes this point where there's a danger zone and people can see it. And when you're in your marriage, you know it's there. You're like, hey, we're now going into new territory and we're trying new things that we're not prepared for. And then suddenly you've gone too high. You don't have the foundation for it. And then you start fighting with each other and it's not working out until you keep deciding, hey, we're going to keep going. You keep building. And then suddenly it's like something's wrong. The building crumbles and you're like, crap, it's not going to work out. And this is where marriages come down to a point where they have to decide, are we going to rebuild this house again? Or are we going to let it crumble and we're going to go buy another house? And this is where it gets very difficult because people go past this danger line where they're not really accustomed to. And because of that, then they crumble. But then you start to see some solid people who understand marriage. They start to build up to this line and they know when they've gone too high. And they say, hey, let's go ahead and bring this back down. And I'm going to work with you. We're going to build our foundation a little stronger now. And we're going to try again. And they start doing this repeated process going until they can't build any higher. And then they decide there's something else in our marriage that has to be a foundational principle that we have to learn in our marriage before we can keep going. And they have to keep going back down to the basics to be able to rebuild again. And that is a core thing that I think that couples will, if they do that and they learn those danger points and then go back to their foundation with their partner, and they can learn to do that on a cycle, you just see like, why are those couples just so great? And like, I remember living in Utah and there was a couple couples, but funny, but they were like star couples. They just were so into each other. I'm like, you guys are like maybe like 80 years old. Like, how are you still this into each other? And like, I was like, what makes them so happy? And I remember, and especially even now, I look back, I'm like, you know what? They had a habit of communicating so well that they knew when, hey, I'm not prepared for that. I need to figure this out. And I need to get my principles, basics down, and then we'll tackle that and we'll build it together. And they invited each other to build their entire life together. They didn't separate. The home was not a duplex. It was a single family home. Everything was combined. The kitchen was shared. The bedrooms were shared. Everything was there. And if they invited people in, they were both in the rooms with those people. If people were invited into their life, they both agreed to it because it was their home. And so it was just really interesting to see how they really did put together a home, and they built it on a foundation of principles, and they built it together, and they learned how to do that over time.
Mm-hmm. I have nothing to add to that. That was really interesting.
Well, what else are we missing?
Well, I feel like because we decided to restart and honestly just relearn how to communicate with each other and redecided the foundation of our marriage, the marriage since then has been much better. Now we've been through other hard things, but it's really interesting to reflect and be like, oh, okay, we've gone through other really difficult financial situations, probably worse than what we were in then, but it hasn't really affected us, like our relationship.
Not nearly as much.
We've been very united. And
tell me what the biggest difference to you has been.
He's not my enemy anymore.
Yeah, that's great. So that is a amazing
I'm
thing.
being honest.
Let me tell you how when I'm not labeled as the enemy and she's not taking, again, I have nothing against your sister.
Okay.
Maybe
wait.
He's
rethinking what you say.
So, however, I do know that there are some things I was like, you know what? I feel like you were essentially looking at me like I was your enemy for a long time, and including even years into our marriage. It's sometimes I felt like, you know what? You're my enemy for that, and I'm just like, I'm not. Sometimes I feel like it was really a logical thing to say, and like, hey, this is why it's not going to work. But how dare I crush your dream on something? And it's just,
I agree. I feel like that was my interpretation of what marriage was, is that you are competing with your husband to survive through life.
Social media,
that's so wrong.
That's what social media teaches, though. Yeah. I mean, you won't find any healthy marriage tips typically on social media. You will learn it from your partner, and you will hopefully learn it from somebody who's learned it. And that's either that or at church. And even then, the church is very limited on a lot of its information on what it'll give, other than you really have to dig for it. It's there. You just have to dig for it. And if you don't have the ears open to hear it, you're probably not going to find it. And it's just really interesting to see how after suddenly I wasn't your enemy anymore on most things. I mean, how dare I say you can't get a seventh chicken, but
yeah, I was mad about that.
But I mean, it's just, you start to realize, like, you know what, we're in this together. And once we made the decision, like, hey, we're in it together for everything, and we're going to build our foundations together. The beginning of our marriage, we started essentially in a duplex. Like we're best friends. We're going to share each other, but then we really had to say, hey, you know what? We're combining everything, not just financially, not just with our cell phone bill, but everything has to be combined emotionally.
Yeah. Say more on competing, what you were saying about competing.
Okay. So I have to be careful about what I say, because I feel like my parents might listen to this, but
we'll call them Johnny and Lisa.
Oh no.
Oh dear. So they had both been married and divorced before they met, and they had a rough start to their marriage too. Like, I believe within the first year they got pregnant with me. Each of them had a parent pass away suddenly. Like, they went through some really hard things, and I'm sure that impacted them a lot. And then continually throughout their marriage, things outside of their control kept happening. Very significant things that would directly impact how they live their daily lives.
All while being isolated in not a town, not
a village.
It was a village in New York that she grew up in. Quite literally the lowest population you could possibly find.
Yes.
Like a trailer park was like
something out of a movie.
Yeah. Honestly. So throughout my childhood, if there was a problem, one of my parents was always right. One of them was always wrong. Regardless of the problem, one specific parent was always right. One specific parent was always wrong. And so I just thought that's how it was supposed to be. Like,
they vocalized that with each other too, in front
yes.
of the children.
Oh,
it was
yes.
like, he's the problem and this is why. And then the kids are there like, okay.
And that was my example.
Like,
so I thought in marriage, the woman was always supposed to be right. The guy was always supposed to be wrong. I wear the pants. And we're kind of just competing for power.
right.
And maybe not for power, but just competing.
That sounds
to be
delightful.
right. So,
Well, look, let me be clear now as well that your parents, I think they, again, because through therapy, through change, and especially now that after the children left,
yes.
there was a huge shift. I think there's one point that needs to be made when what happens is when there's not the correct order in the family, you have a mother and a father who the mother will say, you know what, my marriage comes second to my kids. And there's this huge problem that happens where then when the mother and the father are together, the blessings of the marriage are shared on the children. And when you have children who grow up with essentially a mother that says, oh, daddy comes second place to you, the children suffer and the marriage suffers. And then suddenly it becomes this, oh, we're fighting each other. And then suddenly when the children leave, you then have a mother and a father
They're
and
like,
a marriage who are like,
who are you?
Like, we were in it for the kids. Well, our reason for marriage is no longer there. And then suddenly it's divorce. It's so common for divorces to happen after kids graduate and leave the home. And so when I was looking at her parents, they decided, hey, you know what? Essentially what happened is, again, that skyscraper got too high. It crumbled when Emelia left and Ben left, her little brother. And guess what? The home was shattered. And they decided, hey, you know what? We're still going to stick it out and we're going to rebuild a better marriage. They have now figured out that their marriage is in such a more happy place. In fact, Emelia is like, I don't even know how to get, like, I have sometimes like angry feelings to them and I don't even know how to tell them because they're happy now and I didn't get to see the resolution of all this, you know? And so now her parents are in this position of like, hey, you know what? We're happy. And she's like, that's great. Why didn't you figure that out earlier? But then it's like, oh, you guys were just surviving. And you know what?
I think, they were in survival mode.
They didn't really figure out how to be in like, hey, let's be happy mode.
Yeah.
It's a learned skill, by the way.
It is. Well, and we met in the Eternal Families class. And okay, first of all, that teacher, his name is Michael Bolingbroke. One of the best men I have ever met.
Amazing.
Like,
he had it figured out.
But I remember being in his class and one of the concepts that now looking back, I'm sure most people have heard. I had not heard until he said it, which is that triangle of wife, husband, working together and putting Christ or God at the top. I had never heard that before until his class. And I think that was also one of the switches we made when we decided to rebuild was like, okay, we need to work
There's got to be a
together.
better architect than what we do because we are not that good at building a house.
No.
So
Instead of competing, let's be buddies, work together, and put Christ at the center.
Which means each individual has to put in a lot of effort to not learning each other necessarily, but learning the gospel first. Like learning, if you want Christ to be at the top, like you have to know who he is and what he taught, you know, and if only one person is, or if neither people are
no, that's right.
studying the rules, like then you just start making up your own rules. And
well, you get to
gonna-
know Christ through obeying his commandments. And one of the cool things is that he gave you a plan to show you exactly how to be just like him. And he said, hey, you know what? As long as you do these things, you are going to be more like me. In fact, you're going to understand me more, and you'll understand why I'm happy, why I'm able to find peace. And then you're like, oh, wow, I understand because I'm living these things. And you, once trying it and doing those things, then you realize, oh, that's why. And there's usually a 20/20 hindsight where you're like, oh, that's why. And I mean, it comes down to, there's so many people, even when it comes down to tithing, where there are so many people like, oh, that has no blessings other than a checkbox. Is like, oh, I'm going to get a window of blessings because I checked a box. That was it. They don't realize that in every single one of the commandments, they are all leading you to be more like Jesus Christ, including tithing, to where it's like, hey, you know what? You're learning how to be more charitable. You're learning how to be able to put God first over everything else, including even money. And giving up and being charitable is a huge, huge thing of why people are wealthy. Even not in our faith, people who are charitable and have a charitable heart, those people are wealthier because they live a certain principle of the gospel, which is tithing. And there's blessings for it. Now, I know that we're probably coming to a nearing end of this podcast, but I do want to say that, you know, for those who may not have had access to health or mental health, there were so many different things that you can do to be able to talk to it, and men should not be afraid. It's valid to have feelings that are not expected for a man to have. And if you don't know how to voice those, that's okay. Sometimes it's learning a new language as well, but you have to be willing to be able to talk about it, especially with your wife and without. Both. It has to be done where you need to be able to talk to your wife, but you also need to talk separately to then bring something to be able to share with her. Because if you're trying to figure it all out on the whim with her, you're not going to probably keep up with how well she knows how to speak those emotional words that a man doesn't know how to talk sometimes, or how to speak.
I think the hard truth tied to that is that it requires a lot of humility. I think that pride usually prevents that.
There's an ego problem.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. I'm always like, be vulnerable.
Right. But I mean, at that point, you suddenly, that foundation, that rock, that steady husband, the moment that cracks, we're not sure if you're going to want to keep us, because we believe as men, we are to be that steady rock foundation. Immovable.
Unemotional.
Sure. Whatever it is, we are meant to not make any of those changes so that we can then have our wife have a steady foundation when they don't realize that sometimes the foundation needs repair.
Yes. I agree. Yeah. It's okay for men to be vulnerable and like, please share your feelings with your wife.
Agreed.
It's even if you think it will be hard for her to hear or too much for her to hear, it opens the door for healing and for understanding. I think a lot of my frustration was I didn't understand how you were feeling.
I wish at that time that if I could have done anything different, I would have sought one person that I could have talked to about all of it and tried and attempted to get my feelings out, and then see if they understood what I was talking about, and learn that language so that I could then have something to even bring to you, because I didn't feel like I had anything to give you because I didn't know how to speak that language yet. And so if I could have done anything different, I would have found somebody that understood what I was going through, talked to them about it, and then they probably could have taught me the language I needed to speak to be able to then make peace with my wife. if I could have done anything different, that's what I would have done, including getting more on my knees to my Savior for help, because I felt even isolated from him at that time.
Amelia, do you feel like there were times where like feelings were expressed that initially like offended you?
Yes. I'll
I was
answer.
gonna say, I don't remember.
I remember it.
Be that as it may,
No.
that just kind of goes to the point. Is like, it's going to be for the better. Like
Yeah.
whether you are offended and whether it's rough in the moment, like
It's better to know and be able to have something to work off of than to not know and just be questioning, or then creating your own thoughts on what he's feeling.
yeah, even if it's tough.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. What do you think it's very common for women to hear a man be vulnerable, hear the feelings, and then think, oh my gosh, I can't believe he feels that way, and then end up deciding, hey, you know what, I'm gonna
What a
check
loser.
out. Yeah, what a loser, and check out. Is that a common thing that can happen?
I think it depends on what the woman defines as a man. Like what is her ideal image of what a man should be?
Right.
If she thinks that a man should be stoic and strong, and then suddenly he has emotions, yeah, it might be a red flag to her. For me,
How dare he?
For me, it's very important that you do have emotions
Right.
and feelings, and
That's where
I-
a lot of that's where a lot of my confidence comes from, because if I were to ever encounter that woman and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to leave because of this, because he's feeling this way," as long as I know that it's in harmony with the gospel, I'm like, "Okay, well, it's probably for the better then."
All right.
Sayonara.
Yeah, pretty much.
But anyway, did we say it all?
I think
so.
we're there.
Well, maybe just a couple stats going back to miscarriage, just so people recognize how common it is. 1 in every 4 women will experience a pregnancy loss of some form in their lifetime, which means about 1 in every 4 men as well. You probably know someone, not probably, you definitely know someone who has experienced pregnancy loss. And I encourage you that if you ever find out, talk to them about it. It's not a scary topic. It's unfortunately a very common experience that has become very taboo in our society. And
I would learn what to say.
learn what to say, pray about it, but try to become comfortable in discussing it so that you, inevitably, the more people you know who experience it, you can better support them through it in the present moment.
I'd agree. I think that really wraps up again. We've been through a lot. We've skipped a lot of pieces in this story. However, trying to get that much amount of life in down in a few hours is pretty tough.
Impossible.
It's not going to happen. But I think that, again, like she was saying, this is such a taboo topic that it's not really talked about, and nor do people really have the experience or the knowledge of what to say, especially when they're young couples and they haven't learned how to get past a lot of this. So, again, I would say that it would be a very wise decision for any man to learn the language of emotion to be able to understand and communicate with their woman. That's typically something that in every single marriage that I've seen, the man doesn't know how to speak well the language of the emotions of a woman. And it just does not, it's a point of tension for every marriage almost. I don't know.
Yeah.
Every marriage.
In some form, yes. Yeah.
And so, I hope that the experiences that we had is able to help somebody else.
Yeah.
But
And I would say
thanks for inviting us to this podcast. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about my wife.
No, I heard some things from you I've never heard before. So
Yeah.
I think anybody that takes the time to listen will definitely find value in that conversation, in any conversation.
Right.
But yeah, thanks for coming and doing this. Thanks for your guys' preparation. I know that you guys, you prepared a lot more than I did. So
yeah, no, she did a lot of the preparation for it. A lot of it was mental preparation for me, getting ready to be able to have this conversation, really think deeply about these things. And you know what? She's amazing at, again, over planning everything. So it really worked out. So thanks for inviting us to the Moxie Moron Show. This is amazing, by the way, and I'm glad I got to be part of it.
Cool. Then we'll wrap it up.